Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The following production is part of the We Be Geeks podcast collective.
From days long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend.
The dream that came through a million years, that lived on through all the tears.
It came here, the Fandom Nexus.
Fabulous secret powers were revealed to our host as he plugged in his microphone.
I have a podcast!
Here he is, your Spider-Pan, Jeremy.
Hello! That's right, it is your Jeremy, your Spider-Pan, and we're back again. Guess what? We made it another week in a row. All right? Another week of some Halloween fun. I like that I'm being consistent. I hope I can keep this up. I want to be consistent again like we were all those times. And now that I'm working full-time again, which actually just started today at my new position at KQTV in St. Joe in creative services, making advertisements for the channel. Sometimes they're self-promotional and sometimes they're for businesses in the area. I got to do just a little bit today. I'm kind of learning the ropes of how things work at the company. So it's been a heck of a good start. But, I couldn't just, rest at all the new stuff in my head. I needed to come and finish up this show. I had already a great, over the weekend, a conversation with James Kennison from That Story Show. And you might remember him. He was on, that's a while back. We talked some Disney Channel, him and his co-host, John Steinklauber. They're both funny people, and they share a lot of funny stories that people submit to their show of all kinds of different stuff. It's a fun show. If you need some good comedy, it's a good, fun show to listen to. Well, James Kennison, he stopped by, but we weren't talking some comedy, although we did have some fun. We talked about some survival horror video games, which might surprise a few of his fans that he is into that sort of thing, and might surprise some of my fans that I'm into that sort of thing. But then again, I've talked about those sort of things, but it's not a normal thing, and we'll kind of get into that as we have that discussion. But before we get into that, of course, I do have some trailers that happened this week that I want to talk about, some new releases, including one that's just the international trailer of something we already know is coming. Some new stuff coming to Disney Plus, and also other streaming media sources, and something coming to the theaters. And then, of course, I do have a review of the new film Dune, to which I should say Dune Part 1, which they actually titled it, and I didn't know about it Part 1 until the title came up when I was watching it on HBO Max. I would like to get out to a theater and watch it, because I bet it would look neat on a big screen. But I do want to go through and talk about what I've been watching. And I'm continuing to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation. I'm having to change my schedule of how I'm watching it, because I was watching it while I was working, doing traffic, so I'm looking at the screen. I'm just kind of listening to the episodes, and I kind of glance over when I need to see what's on that screen. But so now I'm actually going to watch it on my regular time. And I actually have time to eat breakfast at home. So I did this morning while I was eating my breakfast. I was watching an episode. I didn't get to finish the episode, but I was getting to watch Star Trek. And it's an episode I'd seen before. It's where Barclay is first introduced, for anyone who knows. who Lieutenant Barkley is, played by, it's Dwight Scholes, I believe, who played, of course, I believe Murdoch on the A-Team back in the 80s. And he did roll himself into Star Trek. And it was a very interesting character. He's got a very good story arc where he proves his value on the Enterprise by the end of the episode that I'm watching, which I haven't gotten to finish watching, but I have seen it before. What have I been playing? Well, other than, of course, Resident Evil Code Veronica X, which we have been streaming. Oh, my goodness. I haven't gotten to play any Scare Play. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do Scare Play today. I got to finish this show. So I have the Scare Play I'd meant to play every day here. Not going to. I haven't managed to get every day, and I'm not going to get any today either. But that's how I've been playing Resident Evil Code Veronica X, streaming it live on our YouTube channel, the Neverland official gaming channel. And you got to make sure you search for it and look for the word official, because there is a Neverland Gaming out there, and that's not me. But we'd love to get that channel to get built up and have some fun together over there as well. Other than that, I had the urge to play Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and I've been playing that on my PS3 just kind of casually on my own, which, my goodness, that is such a great, fun game. That's one of those almost timeless games, and it's one of the games that, other than like Super Metroid, we got the term Metroidvania, where you get to go in a 2D type of game and finding new items that allow you to go into new areas and exploration of one single major environment that has different styles of places. I mean, it's just a great game. And finding out, of course, it is available to be able to play on the PS4 as well, with a Castlevania Requiem that came out a few years ago, which was on sale. I don't know if the sale is going on anymore, but it comes with Rondo of Blood, I believe it's called, which is something that I guess was not released in this form in the United States. I think it was released as Castlevania at Dracula X, I believe, but it didn't. I don't think it had all the cinema bits that were in between the levels, or setting up the story that this Rondo of Blood had. But it wasn't released under this name. But this is the game that it plays like a traditional Castlevania game. And it's very unforgiving, but at the end of it, you get to the that last level that you have at the beginning of Symphony of the Night, where that one picks up. So yeah, I've been playing some of the Castlevania and having some fun exploring the castle and finding a chance that I'm going to have to maybe do it again.
Mama, another gator got in the house.
Another gator? Give me that sugar. Come here.
Get him, Mama. Get that gator.
The Neverland Trailer Park.
Yeah, I almost hit a wrong button there, didn't I? With trying to remember which button was news and which one was trailers. But we don't have really any news I want to get into other than, Genie Plus is rolling now. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But we got a chance to look at Uncharted.
There are places out there you can't find on any map. They're not gone. They're just lost.
Hey, kid. A little young for a bartender, aren't you?
A little old for prom, aren't you?
Leaves are falling all around. Everything in here. Why the map?
This is the path that Ferdinand Magellan took to sail around the world.
You know your history.
It's the biggest treasure that's never been found.
5 billion, easy. I think you're here because you're your brother.
Well, you know my brother Sam?
But now I smell the rain. I'm really dead, and it's heading my way.
If we find that gold, you find him too.
Yes, I'll keep on.
Who the hell is this? I'm a friend of Sully's. Sully doesn't have any friends. I should know him one of them.
You are a collector.
Well, I dabble.
I don't dabble. My family has been looking for this fortune for a very long time. So much blood.
I'm pretty sure he's just threatening to kill me.
Don't touch your ear like that. You look like an idiot.
You have no idea who you partnered with.
I've been dreaming about this stuff since I was a kid. My brother Sam left one final clue.
Yes, I'll
Oh my God!
I shouldn't have come out to play with the big boys, Ian, because you're about to get a proper Scottish welcome.
What?
Oh, crap!
Exclusively in movie theaters.
February the 18th, coming actually very, very soon. And it's neat that this trailer is not only on the like the Sony, I believe, is the ones bringing out the game, but it's also on the PlayStation YouTube channel. But there are some people who have been saying no to this and putting some negative thumbs down on the trailer here on YouTube. And I think it's, Mark Wahlberg as Sully. There's nothing very Sully about him, and maybe he should have grown a mustache, but these two actors, and you got some good actors, but they don't seem like the characters we're used to in the games. But, there are some definite nods to some scenes from the games in this trailer, and so that gets me interested. Although it is kind of different in the games, we get established that Nathan Drake meets Sully when Nathan is a little kid, and it seems we're just now meeting him, and he's Tom Holland's age. Tom Holland is fairly young, and he's younger than Nathan Drake is, I believe, in the games. Which I think is how they were trying to justify, like, oh, look, see, no, we're going to go a little bit, he's a little younger, so maybe this story would fit in. I thought that would be like fit in, and it could be almost canon within the games. It's like, but no, it's their own, it's completely independent story. But I did kind of recognize a few characters like Chloe, I believe, is in there. We've got a cast: Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, Sophia Ali, Tati Gabrielle, and Antonio Banderas. Based on one of the best-selling, most critically acclaimed video game series of all time, Uncharted introduces audiences to the young, street-smart Nathan Drake and showcases his first treasure-hunting adventure with wisecracking partner Victor Sully Sullivan. In an action-adventure epic that spans the globe, the two go in dangerous pursuit of the greatest treasure never found, while also tracking clues that may lead to Nathan's long-lost brother, which we know his brother to be Sam, and that's kind of an important thing in the fourth Uncharted game. I haven't played. There is a fifth game. It's not a Nathan Drake game. It's the Lost Legacy. It focuses on Chloe and another character from the fourth game that I think is appearing in this movie, that she's kind of a villain. I think I own a copy of it digitally, but I have not played that one yet. I have. Well, speaking of playing games, I've been replaying the first Uncharted because it was re-released and remastered for PS4, and I went through and played through that because I am pretty excited for a movie version of this. I mean, this could take the place of Indiana Jones films, really. So I'm looking forward to this coming in February. Hopefully it turns out as good as the games and we have a lot of fun with it. So, yes. Next, Diary of a Wimpy Kid coming to Disney Plus as animated. And I don't know if this is supposed to be like a series or a movie. I'm not sure.
First of all, this is a journal, not a diary. Tomorrow is the first day of middle school. But luckily, I'm not alone in this middle school thing. I've got my best friend, Riley.
Here's what you need to know. Watch where you sit on the first day of school. Don't use the bathroom on the second floor. And finally, don't get the cheese touch. Because if you do, you might as well be dead.
Oh, thank you, Roderick, for that wonderful pep talk.
We're out of our league here. Maybe my mom can homeschool me.
Hey, Greg! Want to come over and play?
Yep, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in therapy over this. We're in middle school now. Don't you think it's time to start acting our age?
I walk in like, how do you do? I just do a little better with an attitude.
Freckly!
Want to see my secret freckle?
I'm like permanently scarred from that night.
Look at these little nerds. I'll pass their bedtime.
Busted! The cheese! There's a piece missing! Disgusting! Zoe mama!
One day I'm gonna be rich and famous, but for now, I'm stuck in middle school, surrounded by morons. If you just stick with me, everything will be fine.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were teenagers. Are you all right? You're all right.
The first book in Jeff Kinney's worldwide best-selling series comes to Disney Plus in the all-new animated adventure Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Greg Heffley is a scrawny but ambitious kid with an active imagination and big plans to be rich and famous. He just has to survive middle school first. To make matters worse, Greg's lovable best friend, Rowley, seems to coast through life and succeed at everything without even trying. As details of his hilarious and often disastrous attempts to fit in fill the pages of his journal, Greg learns to appreciate true friends and the satisfaction that comes from standing up for what is right. Directed by Swinton Scott and written and produced by Jeff Kinney, Diary of a Wimpy Kid features the voices of Brady Noon as Greg Heffley, Ethan William Childress as Rowley Jefferson, and Chris Diamantopoulos as Frank Heffley. And I like that this is styled from the artwork you would see on the covers of these books. Now, I've never read any of these books. I was grown up by the time these come out, and I think these were definitely aimed at kids going through middle school when they came out. So I haven't watched any of the movies, haven't read any of the books, but this looks kind of cute, and I might just actually want to watch it. So I might check it out when it comes out, but that's December 3rd on Disney+. So next we have, and this, it's hard to really get what was going on. I believe this is coming to Netflix, but Cowboy Bebop as a live action, and I believe it's a series, but it may be a movie, but I'm pretty sure it's a series.
Hey, there's a new bounty on the line. Worth the trouble? You want to keep the lights on around here?
Where did we find this dipstick?
We'll handle this one on our own.
Not a chance.
Not that way! Hey! I got him. That's not the bounty.
I got him.
That's not the bounty either.
What the?
Spike!
What?
We're on a job.
Seriously?
Noodles first.
Hello, Spike. I'm coming for you.
We gotta go.
The bounty's this way.
Oh, that guy!
Hey, I was gonna eat that.
Hey, Spike! A little help?
You're dead, cowboy! Action! Beat the trash, cowboy!
All right. Well, at this point, I mean, it's not a lot of dialogue, and you're just hearing a lot of oof, and bits of music. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the trailer right there. You really have to see this trailer. And if this is the style that the series is going to be like, this is going to be pretty cool because they really play with the aspect of, I'm pretty sure this was a manga before it became an anime. And I've seen a little bit of the anime, and it's pretty fun. And seeing what they've done with the visual styling and how they've directed this and moved like almost comic book framing lines that they're interacting with. It's really kind of neat and different what they've done with this trailer. And if the series is anything like this trailer, this could be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to checking this out. Coming very soon. It is a series. Yes, indeed. I should have looked at this while I was on there, but Netflix, I believe, was getting this. Something else we already know is coming, and we've heard several trailers for this, but this, an official international trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I just thought it'd be fun to share this.
Mom, what kind of scientist was Grandpa?
Honestly, I have no idea.
I found it in my living room.
Wait a minute. This thing is real?
Somehow, a town that has no fault lines is shaking on a daily basis.
What is that?
Maybe it's the apocalypse.
Oh my god.
This isn't a mine. It's a gateway.
There!
What do we do?
I love this car.
Go, go, go!
What exactly is happening here?
We need to finish what our grandfather started.
That's not good.
Hey, bud.
November 18th, it says here in this trailer. This is, of course, the international trailer. We got a better look at terror dogs chasing Paul Rudd through a store, and a lot of other new footage we hadn't gotten to see before. Oh my goodness! I'm just so eager for this. November 18th, Ghostbusters Afterlife. This is going to be great. Looks fantastic. But now, guess what I've made?
Oh, want to see a movie?
Yeah, pretty good.
It was bad?
I'm fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing.
My eyeballs could have been sucked from their sockets.
I like it a lot.
The best movie ever made.
A Fandom Nexus movie review.
That's right. I made a sounder for movie reviews. There might be some tweaks done to it. Instead of that computer voice at the end, I might have an actual voice. We'll see about that. But let me just get into a little bit of what Frank Patrick Herbert Jr., born October 8th, 1920 in Tacoma, Washington. Herbert began researching Dune in 1959. He was able to devote himself wholeheartedly to his writing career because his wife returned to work full-time as an advertising writer for department stores, becoming the breadwinner during the 1960s. The novel Dune was published in 1965, which spearheaded the Dune franchise. He later told Willis E. McNally that the novel originated when he was assigned to write a magazine article about sand dunes in the Oregon Dunes near Florence, Oregon. He got over-involved and ended up with far more raw material than needed for an article. The article was never written, but it planted the seed that led to Dune. Another significant source of inspiration for Dune was Herbert's experiences with psilocybin. I think that's how you say that, psilocybin, and his hobby of cultivating mushrooms, according to mycologist Paul Statman's account. Dune took 6 years of research and writing to complete and was much longer than other commercial science fiction of the time. Analog, renamed Astounding, still edited by John W. Campbell, published it in 2 parts, comprising 8 installments: Dune World from December 1963 and Prophet of Dune in 1965. It was then rejected by nearly 20 book publishers. One editor prophetically wrote, "I might be making the mistake of the decade, but..." Sterling E. Lanier, an editor of Chilton Book Company, known mainly as its auto repair manuals, had read the Dune serials and offered $7,500 advance plus future royalties for the rights to publish them as a hardcover book. Herbert rewrote much of his text. Dune was soon a critical success. It won the Nebula Award for Best Novel in 1965 and shared the Hugo Award in 1966 with And Call Me Conrad by Roger Zelazny. I believe that's how you say that. Dune was the first major ecological science fiction novel embracing a multitude of sweeping and interrelated themes and multiple character viewpoints, a method that ran through all of Herbert's mature work. Dune was not an immediate bestseller. By 1968, Herbert had made $20,000 from it, far more than most science fiction novels of the time were generating, but not enough to let him take up full-time writing. However, the publication of Dune did open doors for him. He was the Seattle Post-Intelligencer's education writer from 1969 to 1972 and lecturer in general studies and interdisciplinary studies at the University of Washington from 1970 to 1972. He worked in Vietnam and Pakistan as a social and ecological consultant in 1972. 1973, he was a director-photographer of the television show The Tillers. So now he did go on with the Dune saga. He continued writing, followed up with Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God, Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, and Chapter House Dune. Initially, Frank planned writing a 7th novel of Dune to conclude the series, but his untimely death in 1986 left the series with questions and plot threads that remain unanswered and unresolved. Other highlights were the Dosadi Experiment, the Godmakers, the White Plague, and the books he wrote in partnership with Bill Ransom. The Jesus Incident to the Lazarus Effect, The Ascension Factor were sequels to Destination Void. He also helped launch the career of Terry Brooks with a very positive review of Brooks' first novel, The Sword of Shannara, in 1977. So, yeah, I've read at least 2 of the books, but I think I ended up hopping up to Children of Dune. So I think I must have missed a book, Dune Messiah. I've never read that one. Of course, I listened to audiobooks, and I don't really remember much of what happened in Children of Dune, but perhaps this film series will go on. Although from what I've heard, they only filmed part 1. I would have expected they would have filmed part 2 as well, but maybe they weren't confident that this could be successful. And as it is now, I haven't really looked up how successful the film was in theaters and on HBO Max right now. I will say that I did greatly enjoy it. They tell about half the story of the book. They're taking their time and just telling a good story. They haven't included every little story thread in there, but neither the Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings had to abandon a few things. And that's, big grand scale epic. Now, is this as good as Lord of the Rings? I don't think so. I think one of the factors that made Lord of the Rings better is the Howard Shore score. Dune has Hans Zimmer, and he is a great composer, but most of his music seems to be just drums and a tone, like a one-note tone going through, and there wasn't a melody that really captured the imagination or brought in your emotions, and I feel like that kind of hurt the film. But the cast was great. Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides was great. Rebecca Ferguson, she was in Reminiscence and a lot of other different things. The Mission Impossible movies as Lady Jessica Atreides. Oscar Isaac, we all know from the Star Wars sequels, as Duke Leto Atreides. Zendaya, of course, popping up. Jason Momoa, Stellan Skarsgård, Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem, which he's always great as villains, but he's not quite a villain in this one. Dave Bautista. Just a lot of people in this movie, and the acting was just great. The storytelling, they took their time, was great. I really did enjoy it, and I'm eager to see the next part, but it took such a long time to get this part out that I'm worried if they haven't started filming the second part, or if they haven't already filmed it, their characters are going to have aged a lot by the time we get the next part. I mean, they really need to get cracking and see how far they can go. But Dune is one of those stories that it's been attempted to adapt into film and a television series a couple of times, and it's been very difficult to do it right. I tried to watch the David Lynch 1984 version. I couldn't get very far. It's weird. And I've heard that even if you've read the book, that you still won't understand this movie. It just doesn't quite work somehow. And the miniseries I never saw, and I figure with that miniseries they tried to pack as much, but I don't think they had near the budget that this film has. But I really enjoyed it. Directed by Denis Villeneuve, and I believe he also worked on the screenplay with Eric Roth and John Spieth. So it's definitely worth your time. Seeing it in the theater might be very awesome. I did watch it on HBO Max because I don't have money to go to a theater necessarily right now until I get a regular series of paychecks in. So, but yeah, definitely, if you have HBO Max, definitely check it out, or I'm saying definitely a lot, or go to the theater and check this out, Dune. This is definitely worth your time. This was, it's not what I'd call full-on action adventure. This is just good storytelling and great science fiction. And like I said, I really enjoyed it a lot. But now it's time to welcome our guest.
Come on in! We're nightmares on the best part of my day!
All right, so we're still having some fun for Halloween. And I know the show hasn't been that spooky. Last week it wasn't really that spooky because we spent most of our time talking about all the DC Fandom stuff. But this week, we're going to really scare you and to make some recommendations. So I brought somebody in to help me out who's, not known for being scary. I don't know. No. You might frighten some people. I don't know who.
Only in real life when they see me accidentally and they're not prepared for my ugly face.
Oh,
but, I'm glad to be here. My name's James Kinnison. I do a show called That Story Show, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, you're normally known for bringing the funny.
Yeah.
In fact, hopefully people remember because we had a good old time. Had both you and John on. We were talking the classic Disney Channel.
That was so much fun.
Oh yeah, we had so much fun. We ended up talking Star Wars.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. But I have a secret obsession with scary games. I don't let a lot of people know that because, if people judge you and stuff. But I like spooky games.
Yeah, which is weird because I kind of do too. And I don't like modern horror movies, but I think the main thing is I don't like to be grossed out. And I don't like a lot of gore and blood and crap like that,
But there's a lot of good suspenseful scary movies out there. Like The Others, for instance, was one of my favorites. And it's so scary, but at the end, the twist is it makes it all right, Yeah.
It makes you want to kind of watch it again just so you can look for now I know what was really going on. Oh my goodness.
And like Sixth Sense, is another good example.
Yeah.
There's a friend of mine. She just calls them spooky movies. Spooky movies. I'm gonna watch a spooky movie. And
usually if I want to watch a spooky movie, I pull to like some old stuff. Like Vincent Price has a classic movie, House on Haunted Hill, which I've actually purchased digital copy, which has become famous for that goofy skeleton that they have that comes out. But that's a good movie because it's suspenseful. There's also another one. I think it's Haunting of the Hell House. Pardon me. Drunk as 7-Up has Roddy McDowall in it. For anyone who might know him from Planet of the Apes, and Roddy McDowall's been about everything, even Batman the animated series, But that's a really good scary one, a haunted house one. The old original black and white Haunting. Oh my goodness!
Well, and then of course George Romero's Living Dead. Is classic, great one. Barbara, they're coming to get you, Barbara. And the whiny protagonist.
Yeah. But as close as I go into anything that's almost modern is the original Halloween because there's no blood, and I prefer to watch it edited. That way I don't have a bunch of nudity because I'm not really wanting nudity thrown at me either.
Yeah, that's the bad part about liking scary movies is they want to throw in all that crud, and there are plenty that don't. So, but you have to be careful.
Yeah,
I don't like seeing the boobs. So.
Yeah, unless they're attached to my wife. Okay, so to clarify, it's like
yeah.
We're very much straight men. We just we like to focus on our wife because we are also, I don't know how godly you'd call us, but we try. That's best we can do is we try to be the best we can.
Exactly.
We're not perfect, but I try to control what I put in my head, and a lot of things they put into like modern horror movies are just stuff I don't want to put into my head because if I put it in my head, it might come out.
Right.
So
that's true. It might come out.
We're going to end up teaching moral lessons instead of talking games. But yeah, that's why it's weird that I've ended up liking survival horror games. And I can get into how I got into them as we talk about one particular game, which I find it very strange that I really enjoyed that game. And then that makes me seek after more of these games because I'm really not normally into that thing. But I think the difference is when you watch a movie like this, you're not just watching some dumb teenager run out in the woods, get high and then get killed by some guy in a hockey mask. You're armed and you can fight back against the darkness. So something scary will happen, but you're ready to fight it. And you actually have to use some skill to not get killed and some. You have to gain some game survival instincts, and you have to manage your inventory. There's a lot of layers to these, but I feel like I can fight back.
Right.
And that makes it more fun. Although there's definitely one game that we put on the list that I found for half the game, at least, I couldn't fight back. And it was terrifying.
Yeah. And honestly, those are my favorite ones. I mean, I love shooting bad guys. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, the ones where they just put you in a helpless state and you have to you just have no recourse to take against the bad guys other than to run away or hide or stealth. It's a whole different dynamic, but I love it.
Yeah, I must say the game I recently played, which those of you who are following on the official Neverland gaming channel will know exactly what I'm talking about if you watched. We have going on, by the way, part of the inspiration on this, Scareplay 2021. Go follow the YouTube channel. You can see me playing some scary games that I have never played before, which I've gone through 2 of them, and I'm working through another one, which I'll probably have to mention when we get to it, although I've never actually completed it, but I had played before. One particular game. But yes, so I am playing some scary games on there, so you can go and check it out and see me do badly at some of them. And also one of the games that we're going to talk about is one that I recently got through that, yeah, I spent a lot of time hiding in lockers.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There might be aliens involved in this one. Yeah.
Oh, big nasty ones with long pointed tails. Oh, yes. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, it's kind of weird that we get into this, which Well, when we get to the one that kind of pulled me in, I'll find out what game maybe pulled you in first, because we're going to go back in time a little bit. And I threw in one just for fun because it's not really considered like a survival horror game, and the game isn't necessarily scary, and it's not even that great of a game. But we had it on our old, not Super Nintendo, but regular Nintendo. But there was a Friday the 13th game that LJN put out, and LJN was known for getting the license for a lot of IPs or intellectual properties, making games as fast as they could, and they weren't always that great. And so Friday the 13th, unfortunately, it's got the same looping music over and over in every section, and I think that's one of the biggest complaints they have. But, it was kind of intense, and I've never even watched a Friday the 13th movie. Even to this day, I've seen little bits of stuff, but but I never actually watched the movies before I played the game. But
tell me about the game. What does it do? I've never played it. Back then, I was a teenager when we had our NES. I still lived at home, and I was in a staunch Christian family where I was lucky to have Mario, and probably only that because it came with the system. But tell me, what was Friday the 13th the game like? Because I have seen the movie back in the day.
Well, you were playing as one of 6 camp counselors, and you could switch between them, and everybody would have a cabin that they would be in, and certain cabins the counselors could stay in, and you could swap to different ones. But the weird thing, now, as far as from what I've heard, Jason Voorhees never killed a child or never went after the children, right?
Right. Yeah, there were no children in the movie.
It
was all camp counselors. Yeah.
Teenagers acting up, which is exactly what his mother was upset about, because the teenagers were messing around and not saving her son that drowned. And,
right.
And then suddenly he comes up as a full grown giant zombie man or something, I guess.
For no explained reason. Yeah.
Right. So, but you go around, you can go into the woods, you can go and find this cave area where you can find Mama Voorhees' head floating around. If you beat her head, you can actually steal the sweater. That'll protect you a little bit. But Jason will go through and attack the kids that are all in these cabins off of the lake, and you have to go and try to stop them. But you start out throwing rocks, and inexplicably these zombies come out of the ground, and that's your basic stuff that you're going and killing as you're running around the paths in the camp. And you can wander around all these different paths, but unless you're going to where Jason is, because randomly an alarm will go off, he's attacking the kids, or randomly an alarm will go off, he's attacking a counselor that you've left in one of the other cabins. But he might just randomly show up on screen with you because, and I've seen YouTube videos where people have pointed out that there is a path that he's programmed to take, and based upon where he's shown up, you can know where to meet him when you're wanting to fight him. Because he might randomly, you're just walking along, killing zombies, all of a sudden the screen will kind of stop moving to the left or the right. And that's when after you kill the next zombie, Jason's going to appear right on there. But he would come up, and it was a jump scare every time he'd show up, and you'd have this shung, chung, 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 chung sound. And so it would kind of make you jump. But, then Jason just doesn't wait for you to be done jumping. He just throws machetes or axes at you. And
oh, my gosh.
Because everything is a thrown object.
Sounds pretty complex for an NES game, that's for sure.
Yeah, it actually had a lot to it, and you even could fight. Of course, when you fight him in a cabin, trying to save the kids from him, you actually had not really first person, because you're down at the bottom of the screen, and you can move side to side on the bottom of the screen, and it's kind of difficult on an NES controller. You'd push diagonally down, and you could dodge to the left or right, and you'd have to go through, and Jason was kind of going to the left and right, and he would stop in front of you and take swings at you, and you would try to dodge, and then you would try to, after he took a swing at you, when you come back, you would try to throw whatever weapon you have, and you eventually, you graduate from rocks to you'd find a knife, then you could get a machete, you could get an axe, and the most powerful weapon was finding like a torch, and you could throw fire at him, because I guess Jason doesn't like fire. So, but that's the most powerful thing, is you can burn him. But you fight him, and when you defeat him, you have to actually defeat him 3 times. So, like, when you knock him down, you get to a screen while you have him, showing Jason sitting there, and it says, "Oh, you've won this time, but Jason's still alive," And then if you beat him 3 times, it'll be an official beat the game over, and he becomes stronger each round. Now, I was just happy to beat him 1 round, and I considered it done and done. I wasn't going to bother with a more powerful Jason coming back full strength when I'm not coming back full strength. So, but some people, they've gotten good at that game, and you can watch on YouTube people going through and showing you how it's done, how you can beat Jason. But what was funny is he had, because the Nintendo was limited on colors.
Right.
He had kind of a light blue mask and this weird purple jumpsuit.
Yeah, I'm looking at images on Google Images right now, and I see that very thing. You can actually, as a fan, you can get on and buy what they're calling the retro NES Jason mask, and it's like a teal color with purple blood on it. So like bright magenta.
Oh wow!
And there's even a Funko Pop of him, and he is all pixelated. It's great.
Oh, I gotta look for this now. Okay.
It's $50 though on Walmart.com. I don't know if you can get the original somewhere, but
goodness.
It's being resold for $50 and it's gorgeous. It's a great little because he's all pixelated. It's great.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. How fun is that?
That is a lot of fun, actually. That is great.
What's also fun, and I don't remember if I wrote it on our list to talk about later, but that more recent Friday the 13th game that was kind of a multiplayer one they actually had where you could unlock Jason's colors from the NES game and he'd be looking, with the purple jumpsuit.
Is that Dead by Daylight by chance?
No, it was a Friday the 13th game that was completely online, and it's imagine playing hide and seek because you can hide and you're either playing as a counselor or you could be playing as Jason, which I thought was a little sick because playing as Jason, you want to go around and horribly murder everybody.
Right.
But it's basically hide and seek.
Dead by Daylight's kind of a similar kind of concept. It's a multiplayer and one person plays the bad guy and they have multiple themes. And I know Friday the 13th was one of them. So.
I think Dead by Daylight was one of the inspirations. The people who made this Friday the 13th game, they looked at Dead by Daylight and I think they worked with them to create it. But instead of, mounting everybody up on a tree for some alien to take them, you're literally just murdering them in various different styles that you can unlock these pretty brutal murders that you can do as Jason. But you're actually at Camp Crystal Lake, and as the counselors, you're trying to find a way to survive by either lasting for, I think it's like 20 minutes per round. If you're still alive in 20 minutes, you win, you escape. Or you can escape by, you can put a car back together because for some reason the cars around there have all been completely dismantled. There's no battery in it. There's no gas in it. So you have to find all this stuff and the car keys, and then you can try to drive away. You can attempt to get a boat gassed up and take the boat away, but Jason underwater moves extremely fast and he can come and rip that boat down real quick. Yeah, because he does it in the movies apparently too. So also at one point, if as a counselor has died, if you have made a phone call on a radio, and you can have your counselor and just basically yelling, "Jason's here! We're at the camp!" And I think Kevin Bacon played this character initially, but I can't remember the character's name. He'll show up with a shotgun and as a player that's been killed as a counselor comes back as that character, and he can actually help kill Jason. But that takes a complicated thing to kill Jason because somebody has to go and get the sweater on a female counselor. And then you can use this sweater to stun Jason, but you need to beat him up and knock his mask off first. But then you use the sweater to stun Jason, and as Jason's stunned, whoever is playing as the one character that was a Kevin Bacon character in some movie can kill Jason. But it's really hard to do. I've seen it done on some YouTube videos. The other option is to call for the police, and the police will show up a little bit faster. And once they show up, you can run and escape to whichever exit of the park has the police at it.
Oh,
so you have ways to escape, but all the advantages are on Jason's side because Jason has powers.
Joke. Yeah.
Jason can use the power to detect where which cabin you're in. He'll light your cabin up red and he'll see it. Whoever's placing is Jason. He can highlight the counselors. Of course, if you're in the cabin, that's how the cabin lights up. But he highlights counselors. He can also move at super speeds. He can teleport basically, so you can Jason can pick a spot on the map that he thinks you're at and just appear, because in the movies apparently he just suddenly can appears, and for some reason he can move insanely fast and you thought he was behind you and then suddenly he runs around in front of you.
Like they say, he never runs, but he always catches up.
Yes. And the cool thing is when Jason uses his power, the screen will the counselors can see it because the screen will mess up like a videotape, like VHS. Because most people saw these movies on VHS, so it's kind of cool, very retro. But I think the servers on that have shut down. I think I own a copy of it on Steam, which there are things you can play solo now, but if you play solo, you're playing as Jason and you have to do these challenge kills and try to use stealth and not get noticed, because if somebody notices, they're going to warn the other counselors and suddenly they're aware that you're there killing them. So, but I'm not the type of person to go around liking to be the murderer, so,
Right.
I didn't really want to play as Jason. I did try it out, but I was like, yeah, this is a little demented, and I'm not demented enough. I can't even play a game where you have moral choices without making the good guy choice. So,
yeah.
I can't help it. I'm a goody. But definitely the newer games better.
I do that with what is it? It's Fallout. some of those have where you can play as a bad character if you want. And I and then a Fable wasn't. I think it was Fable.
Yeah, Fable had consequences.
Yeah, you could grow up as a bad guy, and I was like, no, I always played good guy.
Yeah.
The only time I played bad guy was in World of Warcraft, and it was because I had a buddy that was on the Horde side.
Yeah,
and I played with him. So,
but the Horde actually has some cool characters. I mean, I like to play as a high elf.
I was always the undead guy because my buddy was undead, and that was my first experience. And so, yeah, I was addicted for a while.
But it's one of the things that Warcraft movie kind of showed. The Horde just have a different perspective of things, and they just not getting along properly, and that's all. They're not really that bad.
They're not evil. They just have a different existence, and they're just opposed to the other side. So
yeah. But if there's usually a good moral choice, like if I play Knights of the Old Republic, I'm going full Jedi. Playing BioShock, I'm always saving every little sister.
Yep.
Which BioShock almost made this list because, boy, has that got some environmental scariness. I love that game. I almost put it on list, but it's not technically survival horror. It's just thematic.
Right.
The other one I haven't finished it yet, but Red Dead Redemption 2, you're a bad guy in the game, but because you're a bad guy does not mean you are a bad guy. So I'm trying to be as good as I can. So I don't shoot unless somebody shoots first, I never shot first, but I drew first blood or whatever. Oh, yeah, I never drew first, but I drew first blood. I'm no one's son. They call me Young Gun. Okay. Hello, Bon Jovi fans.
Thank you.
Yes. So I guess we can move on to the next game on the list. And this one, I would not have considered a horror game because when I remember playing this on the PC, it wasn't that scary. But then when I played it on the PlayStation and I got in some deeper levels, there's some darkness and there's monsters and everything's from hell on Mars. We're talking about the original Doom.
Yes. The first time I played it was on a computer at a Sam's Club, and I was absolutely blown away. The graphics, the detail, everything about it blew my mind. I'm like, it's never going to get any better than this. This is amazing. And my mom saw me play, and I got in trouble. And the next time I was able to play was at a future girlfriend's house on their computer, and I fell in love with Doom, and I got my own computer, and I was able to play, and I got into modding and making maps and editing skins and all kinds of stuff, and it was so great. And I never understood why it was scary, but my mom's perspective was there's devils and demons in it, and I'm like, yeah, but we're shooting them.
Yes.
We're not helping them take over the planet.
Yeah,
that would be a bad game.
We're fighting back.
Yeah. Yeah, weapons.
Kind of like something I should have probably put on the list, Diablo.
Yeah, that's true.
Diablo was creepy, scary and everything. And yeah, man. And that's one of the things I love about it is like you've got all this evil devil stuff, but yeah, I'm the one killing them. And I'm fighting back against the devil, literally. In Diablo, you're kind of literally fighting the devil.
Right.
And Doom was great because you had all these monsters and things. And I remember that's when I first bought my PlayStation. That was one of, I think, 3 games I bought. I started out with, we're coming up on Resident Evil, Dark Forces, Star Wars. And I bought it because Star Wars. And then, of course, they had, I think they called the collection Ultimate Doom, where it had Doom 1, 2, and then it had like an Ultimate Doom or whatever. It was everything. It was like bonus levels and extra levels added to Doom 1 and 2.
Yeah, so, Doom was my jam.
Yes.
And it was my introduction to PC gaming and first time I ever played multiplayer, but that was against one guy because we figured out how to call each other's computers, and it was a big pain in the rear to set up, but it was so much fun. It was great.
Yeah, it was about as much challenge as it is to, you could actually get a cable to hook 2 PlayStations together. But then you have to have 2 TVs and you all have to be in the same room. You couldn't do it over the internet. But we actually did that one time, and I think we played some Doom like that. We also played Command and Conquer like that. But yeah, I think if I'd have been a PC gamer, I would have been a lot easier.
It was. I went to a few LAN parties in my day, and it was still a pain in the rear to take your whole rig and set it up somewhere else and connect. but that's what we did back before servers and, and just the way it is now. Multiplayer, you had to work for it.
Yeah, and before you could actually have a laptop that could run Doom, at the time.
Oh, true. Yeah, no, laptops were not for gaming back then at all. They were for document processing, and they weighed 500 pounds.
Yeah,
they were not great, but. Doom had still. I still will boot up Doom once in a while, and it still jump scares me because you're concentrating. You're trying to get that armor. You're trying to get that yellow key or whatever, and then all of a sudden, and there's a freaking shotgun guy behind you, and scares you to death. Makes you do a 180 and blow them away. So it was if we're counting Doom as a survival horror. And it was definitely my first survival horror game, followed by a brief bout with Resident Evil at a friend's house.
Yeah, because that was before they actually coined the term survival horror, because Resident Evil is the granddaddy, I guess, of it. Although Resident Evil got some inspiration from some other games, which we'll definitely have to get into that one. I think you bring it up later. But yeah, because Doom and Doom 2 was pretty scary. And Doom 2 had even more evil imagery in there because you actually had to go into the bowels of hell. To deal with things. And, I just realized, did I even write Doom 3 on the list? No, I guess I tried to put these in order that the game came out when I was making my list. So Doom 3 is later, but heck, we can talk about Doom 3 later. Because actually, despite, a lot of people didn't think Doom 3 was that great because it slowed everything down, I liked it because it added a lot more story.
Yeah, it was a different game.
It was a different game. So I actually tried to play like I don't know if you call it a remake of Doom where they put it out. And I got so used to Doom 3 and I'm so used to playing stuff like BioShock where there's good story and there's suspense. And this new Doom is just on nonstop action that I was like, well, this is kind of cool, but I don't know. It's just not, I don't feel the story in it. So I need to sit down on it and just go ahead and play it. But I haven't really played the new Doom or Doom Eternal.
It's a return to the original just run and gun. I mean, it's not a survival horror. It is run and gun, and you either love it or hate it. And I get in a mood once in a while where I just want to use my weapons a whole bunch and survive as long as I can. And I played Doom Eternal and then Doom that was released before that. And it's lacking in story, but it's on purpose. It's more of a strategy and a run and gun, like I said.
Yeah. So I think if I come at it from the right way, I think I could definitely have a lot more fun at it. But I was kind of surprised by it when I first kind of played it. I played a demo of it, and I think I used to have the PlayStation streaming service, and I played part of it on there. But I was like, this is pretty cool and everything, but I don't know. I feel like I want story, but I think I sit down more time.
Story.
Yeah. You play it for just I want to blow some demons up or something.
Yeah, it's a puzzler. I mean, there's some puzzles in there. There's some platforming in there, which I actually hate the platforming parts. I just want to run around on a map and shoot people. Doom, like you said, the remake, I didn't like because it was arena based combat. And really an over focus on it. I want to go through a map, and that's what the original Doom was. Is it wasn't an arena, a one room with a bunch of levels that you jumped around. It was a maze, and you went through it and you found keys and that's what Doom Eternal has really gone back to.
Nice.
And they've added a bunch of stuff to it too. But again, it's not. I struggle calling it survival horror because even though there's demons and bad guys and stuff, is it scary? No.
Yeah.
I'm not scared when I play Doom Eternal.
Yeah. Not like old Doom was actually kind of scary.
Right. Because it would get quiet.
Yeah.
And
except for that rockin' music.
You were fine. And then, here comes an imp with a fireball in your backside.
Yeah.
So,
and if you take a good shotgun blast, it might knock your armor down to nearly nothing real quick. So, which actually happened a couple. We actually played it in Scare Play last weekend. You can actually go in there and find me and Lost Boy Philip actually going and playing some Doom. Although I goofed up the sound and accidentally shut off our microphones halfway through.
Oh no!
But you can see us playing it, and Philip is not really used to this. He plays wrestling games. He doesn't play a whole lot of games other than that. So he wasn't used to the whole aspect. But you can play the old style Doom and Doom 2 on your PlayStation. I don't know if I figure Xbox has probably got it as well. I don't know. What are you playing on these days?
I play PC completely. I have an Xbox 360 and a PS2 or a PS3 or whatever the next to the latest is. I kind of quit after that. I'm just totally into my gaming on PC now.
Yeah. Well, next to the latest would be a PS4, like what I have, because the PS5 came out and nobody can afford that right now.
Yeah, I don't have a PS5 now, and I
don't
have a Wii U. I don't have a Switch. So I kind of, like I said, everything's on PC now for me.
Yeah, and I have a few games on the PC because there's some games like on Steam you can get Borderlands. And, I haven't never finished that because I've had more fun playing Borderlands 2 with a group of people. That's a lot of fun. But the group of people I was playing with, they played like really late night. And since I was working morning radio at the time, I was in bed by 7. And I got to where my body was used to it. So at 7 o'clock, my brain would shut down. So I'd have a hard time staying up late to play with everybody. So, but, I'm about to start a different job. I could probably stay up till, of course, I can only stay up probably till 9:30 because, I'll be getting up at 5:30. But, I could probably stay up later and actually maybe play some online games. And, I need to find some people who play on Steam. And then I can play games with people because I'm going to play Borderlands with somebody, play Borderlands 2 with somebody. I think I had some other ones. Like I got they remastered Command and Conquer. And I'm like, that would be more fun if I could play versus somebody. But all I can do is play against the computer. I'm like, that's fun, but I want to play against somebody. So
there you go.
I don't know if I've added you on Steam, but I might do it because I want to play something with you too. Who knows? Anyways. I could go off on a tangent here chasing that rabbit. But all right, so let's dive into, I guess we've already kind of talked about Doom 2. And you mentioned, playing in God mode the way it was meant to be played. I'm like, yeah. That was you could just blow everything away and you weren't afraid of nothing. But that, of course, that took away the fear factor because like, you can't kill me. I'm invincible.
I just liked not dying and just owning everything. I loved the pixel animation, and I'm still a pixel artist to this day because of Doom and Doom 2. But I just loved seeing what the game was supposed to be without having to worry about dying every 5 seconds. And I loved the secrets, and seeing John Carmack's head on a pike, behind the main bad guy. And it was good. It was good stuff.
Oh yeah.
I was a huge Doom guy, and Doom 2 and Quake 2 and Quake 3 and all those.
Yeah, I never really played much Quake because I wasn't a PC gamer, so I kind of missed out on that one.
Yeah.
But I do have, I haven't played with it much, but another thing you can get on your both PlayStation and probably Xbox, at least PlayStation 4, is the Doom 64 that they made a very exclusive game for the Nintendo 64. It was Doom, but it was completely different maps and it was like a completely new game.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. So I do have that on my PlayStation, so I can go through and eventually I'm going to play through that as well. So
yeah, they sell that on Steam too. I've never messed with it though.
Nice.
Yeah.
You see, I didn't know this stuff was on Steam because, when I go through stuff, certain games I want to play on a PC because the thing about Borderlands is being able to aim with a mouse makes it a lot easier for me on Borderlands because I've tried to play it on the streaming services on PlayStation and I can't seem to aim quick enough on Borderlands, but
it slows you down.
Yeah, but there are certain games that I do aim very well on with a console controller. But Borderlands, I feel better with a mouse.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a mouse and keyboard guy.
Yeah. I just wear my finger out trying to move around on a keyboard a lot, though. My middle finger gets tired of, holding down buttons and keys and I don't know, carpal tunnel. Maybe because this is my left hand and my right hand was the one that used to play trumpet. The left hand never has to do that much. And so I tax my left hand on that keyboard and I just can't do it. It just hurts after a while. I get sore and, so.
Yeah. Just get good. That's my advice.
Isn't that what they always tell you? Get good.
Yeah. So. I hate it too. So I want to rub it into you too.
Oh, yes. All right, but now we got to jump into my wheelhouse here. So I got a story behind this one, and this is see us good Christian people how we go bad. So this was actually at a Baptist Student Union event when I was going to community college. Our leader was a youth pastor at a church. Actually, not far from where I'm at now. What is the name of that church? I can't remember. But he thought it would be fun if we have, it wasn't a full-on lock-in, which I'm sure you're familiar with. I bet you did a few over Sheffield.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
So we were going to stay up late, but we weren't staying the entire night at this church. But he decided to bring a PlayStation, and he rented a bunch of games, and one of them was Resident Evil. And I showed up kind of early, and I was like, so I was kind of looking around the church, like, oh, yeah, I've never been here before, and found the PlayStation. And so I got an early start at it, and I thought, well, I've heard of this game, Resident Evil. I wonder what this is all about. And this is before I owned a PlayStation myself. And, what's funny is you suddenly got a bunch of college people. We're all kind of gathered, and none of us are surviving very long at this. But we're all intrigued because, like, what's going on with this house? There's, like, zombies in it. And I remember when we got into, there's one particular hallway, and it's become very famous, where the zombie dogs burst through the glass of the windows.
Right.
You want to see a bunch of, 18 to 20-year-olds jumping out of their pants.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That game scared us, the dickens out of us. And what was funny, did you ever play what we call Romans and Christians?
Now they call it underground church is what my kids call it now. But yeah, basically, yes.
So basically you got two people who are Romans, 2 or 3, however many people you got, with flashlights, and everybody else is an underground church, and you got to hide somewhere, and hopefully the Romans don't come and get you because then they'll lock you up.
Yeah.
So, of course, to make it fun, you got to turn all the lights out. So now imagine you've been playing Resident Evil in an unfamiliar building where horrible monsters are out to get you, and you've got that tension already in your brain. Now you're going to be in a church building that you're not that familiar with that has a lot of long hallways with all these doors going to all these classrooms for Sunday school and all this stuff. And it's in the dark, and so you can't see, and you're looking for somewhere to hide. Or even playing as a Roman because you don't know where you are, and the only thing you can see is your flashlight, but you know somebody's out there. It messes with your head a little bit.
I wouldn't be able to do it because when I was a kid, my mom told me that after all the people leave the church, the demons come in.
Right.
And I'm stinking 48 years old, and I still can't stand being in a dark church because the demons come, because my mom put that in my head when I was like 7 years old for some reason. I don't know why she believed that, but she sure enough did. There's a lot of demons in my childhood growing up, and I believed in them, I think, more than God, because I was so scared of demons. And I have friends, church friends, pastor friends that try to scare me in dark churches because they know about that I have this one weakness.
Yeah.
I believe the demons come for some reason. The Christians keep them out when they're there, but when the church is empty, spooky time.
And I have been in some churches that I used to attend. There's one up in Gashland Baptist Church that it has kind of a big sanctuary, and there'd be times we've got all the lights turned out, and there's not a lot of windows in the sanctuary, so it kind of gets dark in there. And because it's so quiet and you're used to being in there and hearing people talking, laughing, or music, and we're singing, that when it's still and it's quiet in there, it's a little eerie.
Yeah, I think the secret is any place like a library, a hospital, any place that usually has a lot of people in it that suddenly doesn't is freaky.
Yeah.
You know? And, but my mom just took it to the next level for me and turned it into a horror series. Like every empty church now has the devils in them. So,
yeah.
But now that I think about it, according to the rules, if I'm there and I'm a Christian, then technically the demons shouldn't be coming in. But maybe I'm not Christian enough, or maybe they can just slip in if there's just one guy in there. They're like, no big deal. Let's go ahead and start filling up the building because they're waiting outside in line. It doesn't make sense, but it made sense to me as a child. And it's still in there somewhere in my head.
Somewhere they're going, it's James Kennison, get him.
Yeah, get him. He's afraid of us. Thanks to his Christian mom. But no, Resident Evil, I actually ran into it for the first time at a friend's house who had a PlayStation. I didn't have a console. I was in the poor section of my life. You know, between high school and when you finally establish yourself financially, you're just broke, you know? And so I didn't have any PCs. I didn't have any games. I didn't have nothing, but he did. And we got to play it. And that same hallway you're talking about has a puddle of blood in it. And I remember distinctly, I was always the one that wanted to make people laugh. So, and it was a fixed perspective, pre-rendered background that you ran around on. And I would put my character in the blood, and I would just spin around, and I sang a little song, dancing in the blood, dancing in the blood, dancing in the blood. And that's pretty much the whole song.
Yeah.
But it made people laugh, and I still remember it. And dancing in the blood.
Yeah, I think the room you're thinking of is the dining room, because there's that pool of blood where like, oh, I hope this isn't Chris's blood. Because the hallway with the dogs, I don't recall there being blood on the floor.
I don't know. It was a hallway, though. It was a hallway of some kind. But I remember that dog thing came through, boy. Yeah, it was so scary. It really scared me. And because I was raised with no movies. And so as soon as I moved out of the house, I made up for it by watching every bad movie that was ever made. And when I say bad movie, I watched Back to the Future and all this stuff. But I definitely scarred myself. But this was before that, and I had never seen a horror game before. And it freaked me out. The only other game that I played that was even close to this as far as spooky factor was Alone in the Dark. And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but Alone in the Dark was a classic PC game back in the day, and probably the first survival horror game I ever played on the PC.
Yeah.
But
and technically, it is really the first. I mean, Resident Evil is the one where they coined the term survival horror, but Resident Evil borrowed from Alone in the Dark and a Japanese game called Sweet Home that was based off of a Japanese movie. It's actually an RPG. You can't play this in the States. I mean, not legally, I don't think. But you can go online and you can find people who've tried to translate it, because for an NES type of game, apparently it's super scary. Because you have consequences. Your party, like if you play Final Fantasy, someone in your party gets taken out in a fight, you just revive them, no problem. In this, somebody in your party gets killed, they're dead.
Wow. And
you may lose whatever items they were carrying. And so there was consequences, and you didn't, there wasn't a scheduled time like Aerith dying in Final Fantasy VII that this is when it's supposed to happen. Sorry, spoiler warning. There's no rhyme to it. It's just they died fighting off a monster. They're dead. You messed up. So that's intense. But yes, that apparently because of the setting of that inspired Resident Evil setting. And then Alone in the Dark, the way the game mechanics worked was pretty much what they did for Resident Evil after they realized the first-person perspective wasn't working, because apparently they tried to do first-person, but it wasn't scary that way.
Wow. Yeah, because Resident Evil had the pre-rendered backgrounds just like Alone in the Dark.
Yep.
And the camera angle would shift based on... and it would be difficult if you were in a fight with a bad guy, because in Alone in the Dark, all you had was a sword. And that camera would move on you, and suddenly you and the bad guy would be in two different places on the screen, and it was difficult. Oof. But that's one thing I like about Resident Evil 7 so much is they went to FPS.
Yes,
first person.
We'll definitely get to that one later too.
Yeah.
But the fun thing with like Resident Evil, as I mentioned before, that's one of the first 3 games I purchased when I got my PlayStation, when I got my Sears credit card and learned what debt was. But I struggled with it because it's difficult when you kind of don't know where to go. But finally, when I got to that first save room, I was like, I've saved somewhere, and I have somewhere to store items. That changed everything. And then finally, at one point, I kind of figured out where I was going. I figured out how to get out of the mansion. One summer's day, I figured out how to, you go through these, you got these 3 medals or whatever you put in there, and you open it up, and then you get, oh my gosh, I'm outside the mansion. And I thought, I've escaped. I've won. No, sir. No. Welcome to the guardhouse. And even after the guardhouse, you come back into the mansion, and suddenly you got these killer things in there. And then you go underground in a lab, and oh my goodness, it got so, but I ended up like all in one day after I finally figured out how to get outside the mansion. I was just sucked in, and I just kept going. And I got to where I just, just for fun, I would just play through it again, because you could finish it in 4 hours. In fact, my friend Josh, actually, he bought it for the PC later on. I mean, by then we'd had Resident Evil 2 was out and everything, but he bought the original Resident Evil. The opening on a PC, because in Japan, was different. On the PlayStation, they didn't want to see when they're introducing characters Chris Redfield smoking, so they cut out his face and put an image of Chris Redfield firing a gun. Plus, they cut out in the opening cinematic in there, they cut away from all the gore. And the PC put it all back in, and that opening is nasty. I mean, because when with the guy who's been eaten by a dog, you get to see it a lot more. It's horrible. And then when somebody finds the body, and in the PlayStation, you see them kind of grab and they pull up part of a hand with a gun, and then it cuts off. But in the PC, in the full Japanese version, they pull and they lift that whole severed arm off, and like, so it was horrible. But Josh had just gotten it and came over. He wanted to show it to me. He says, like, you've played this before. And I sat there and I just couldn't stop myself. I just knew what to do. Boom, finished it in, I think, 4 hours or less. And Josh is like, well, I don't need to play it. I saw the whole thing now. So, but that's when Josh realized that I was big into Resident Evil. And so he actually surprised me later. I didn't even know Resident Evil 3 was coming, and he got it for me for Christmas. And I was like, whoa, because he knew I was into that sort of thing.
That's awesome.
So, but I did learn something since then. Because when you finish the game, you get like a photograph of your character. And when you watch the opening cinematic, you have this girl who's Jill Valentine, and she's got long hair. Now, Jill, ever since then, has been shown with short hair, because I guess she's supposed to have had short hair tucked into her hat. But really, the actress that they got had very beautiful long dark hair. She was a pretty girl. But they had a picture of her at the end, just kind of relaxing and everything. So, but I was wondering, it's like, well, whatever happened to her? Because she was very pretty. Was she a model? Who was she? But I started trying to look up who these people were who played the characters and stuff and that. Like, did they do anything else? Some of them have done some voices for games, But this girl apparently had a horrible time, and she never did any other game stuff because of this. There was a night shoot when they were filming all this, and the mosquitoes out there were really bad because they were filming it in Japan, but there was, I guess, a lake nearby. So the mosquitoes were everywhere, and she just got bit silly. And so she did not have a good time. So the sour look that you see on her face apparently was very legit because she was not happy. And so she never did a video game shoot after that at all. So, she just disappeared.
I just found out that mosquitoes are an international problem.
Oh,
That's crazy. Okay.
Well, didn't you learn that in Lilo and Stitch? I mean, come on,
that's
a problem. We're missing so many mosquitoes. They're rare. We got to let them feed on us. Until you have been chosen. So, okay. I love that movie. But anyways, so, stemming off from that, I remember when the PlayStation, they got the analog controllers. And so Resident Evil Director's Cut was announced. And I was excited I got it because, oh, cool, the analog control, that might be interesting. But also they were going to include a demo of Resident Evil 2. And so I traded in my copy of Resident Evil because I figured, it's going to be the same game, but the Director's Cut was going to have different angles and new items and, all these new things. What I did not realize, they messed up the music, and they put in, and people have made fun of this one basement level where it just sounds like some kid got bored and was randomly hitting groups of keys on the keyboard. It's golly awful. But the music was absolutely horrendous to where it was almost that made it unplayable. And I went through and played it because the arranged version was fun. And but I was mainly playing that Resident Evil 2 demo just in anticipation for Resident Evil 2, which was fun because originally they had a completely different game for Resident Evil 2, and they scrapped it and started over to give us the one that we're familiar with now. And one of the things that was fun about it is Allison Court was the voice of Claire Redfield, which I had been recognizing as the voice of Jubilee on the X-Men animated series. So that was pretty awesome.
Huh. That's cool. Well, I happened to look up some information on the guy that made the music for the basement level, and it turns out that he made the music level at night near a lake in Japan, and he was being bit by mosquitoes the entire time. So he was actually just swatting at the keyboard, trying to smash bugs. So that's what really happened.
There, see, that explains it all. So, but the fun part is this is where we first get introduced to Leon Kennedy, who's become a series staple. And also, of course, we mentioned Claire Redfield. And the fun thing is you had two different discs. Did you ever play Resident Evil 2?
No, I didn't. But it's available on PC. They remade it. And it's on sale right now, actually.
The remake's pretty good. You should get it. Yeah.
I probably should.
It's kind of a completely different game, but it's pretty awesome. But the original game had two different discs, one for each character. And after you played through with one character on one disc, you'd put in the other disc to play the other character, and there would be like even different story. And I get apparently the canon version is to play as Claire's disc first because you'd have an extra mission with this Sherry Birkin, this little girl who gets infected. And I guess the story doesn't play out the same way unless you play as Claire first. So apparently the canon version of that was Claire first.
They sure don't do stuff like that anymore. Not without charging you extra or some sort of download fee. It's sad, but that's amazing.
Yeah, it turned a 4-hour game into an 8-hour game.
Yeah.
Although the second time through, you were solving a lot of the same puzzles and a lot of the items were still in the same place. But
still, though, you get to feel good. You get to feel smart. And that's always a good thing.
And they did some clever things. Like you'd have a certain locker that maybe a certain gun or something would be in this locker. And you'd say, should I take this? Or maybe I could leave it for Claire.
Oh,
and so you'd have those lockers you could leave. And then when you play the second time, look, Leon left this pack for me.
That's amazing.
That was clever. So you had to plan it out a little bit. What was neat is the second time you play through, no matter who you are, you had I think that now we just call him Mr. X because he was never given a name, but he was basically a tyrant from the first game, the final boss, except for he was the fully developed that Umbrella had made. And he would show up and stalk you around, although he had pre-programmed times to show up in Resident Evil 2. So and I think that's what got in the way of some of the Sherry infection storyline, but he was out to kill STARS members. And he would say that. Of course, more than that was Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 was more famous, I think, for STARS. I think the thing was sent in RE2 was basically just trying to get rid of any witnesses. But in the Nemesis, the idea of that thing was so scary because that thing would just burst through a wall and show up, kind of like Jack Baker in Resident Evil 7. That it was so popular that by the time we got to Resident Evil 3, they thought we need to make that go through the entire game. And so they came up with Nemesis. And Nemesis he had story times that he would show up. But once he showed up, you had a choice to fight him or run away. If you fight him and you win, you knock him down, you would get like a bonus item. Or you could just run away with it and save a lot of ammo because he was hard to take down. So the weird thing is when they remade Resident Evil 2, they perfected the Mr. X system where he could show up, and they gave him an AI to wander around the place. So you never knew when you might see him. Now, there were some story times that he would make him show up, but he could stalk you around the place. And so it made it very nerve wracking, kind of similar to, a game about certain aliens we're going to talk about. You could hear him moving around. When you got close to where he was at, you would hear this thump, 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 and you would just turn around and say, I'm not going in that room, but it made it so much more intense. So the Resident Evil 2 remake, which I don't know if I put it on the list to talk about it later, but that just amped it up. So yeah, if you haven't played that one, that would be the way I recommend playing it.
I've seen all the movies.
Oh,
does that count?
Those movies were terrible. Now this newer movie coming out, I only watched the first movie and it was gross, and I kind of like, ugh. But I was like, they didn't keep anything to any of the characters that we knew or anything, except for the second movie. And I tried to watch the second movie because I was like, well, I guess some character that we know is going to show up in this one, right? But it still wasn't. They didn't capture the real feel of Resident Evil. So, I mean, some people who never played the games, I guess, enjoyed the movies enough to where they made however many of them.
Yeah,
but
a lot of them.
Finally, we're going to get one. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is coming out here in November that actually decided, hey, you know what? There's fans of the games. Let's make a movie that the fans of the games will actually enjoy. And from the trailer I've seen, now granted, I usually don't go to these kind of movies. We've talked about it. I don't go to horror gross movies, but I kind of want to go just because, getting to look at the mansion and some of the stuff they've done. I'm like, this looks like the game. So I might end up going to see that one. I'll just try not to throw up when they do something gross,
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, when they remade Resident Evil 3, after Mr. X, everybody had big expectations for the Nemesis. But Nemesis on that one works on a script. He shows up at certain times. So, but I think people really wanted him to be stalking them throughout the game, like Mr. X does in the remake of Resident Evil 2. So, kind of disappointing. I haven't played the Resident Evil 3 remake because when I was looking in on it, people were saying, well, there's no puzzles in it. It's just straight more action. And it's okay, but people like the original PlayStation version better, which Nemesis actually was not my favorite. It is a favorite to a lot of people because they like the concept of Nemesis, but I felt a lot of it. Especially you even revisit the police station from Resident Evil 2. I felt like I was playing Resident Evil 2 Extended and didn't feel like its own independent game. And I guess the reason behind that, what became Resident Evil Code Veronica, that initially they had thought to make that Resident Evil 3, and they were going to make a side game. It's like, well, what happened to Jill during this time? We were kind of curious, because we got Claire looking for her brother Chris, but what's Jill doing during this? And so they started working on that game as a side project, but then at some point somebody looked at it and says, no, the Jill game is now Resident Evil 3. We're going to make this what became Code Veronica. That's going to be a side game instead of Resident Evil 3.
Wow.
So yeah, it kind of changed paths a little bit, which it's very interesting how that happened. But yeah, that's why to me, Resident Evil 3 doesn't feel like a standalone game. It feels like a continuation, and it does feel like a side game instead of a main game. Although Code Veronica, I still have not completed, and I'm actually trying to complete it on the Scare Play right now because I always get stuck in the same place, and maybe I'll get past where I get stuck. We'll see. We'll see. So you probably haven't played any Resident Evil since the first one, though, I guess, have you?
I've played 7.
Okay, so when we get to 7, you'll be able to dive in.
I'm almost done with it, but I put it down for like 6 months because I thought I beat it, and I wasn't done yet because there was the boat.
Oh,
the daggum boat.
Yeah, so. You've got quite an adventure, and you're going to start learning what's actually going on when you get on that boat. I got to be careful not to spoil anything for you when we get to that later.
Yeah.
Oh, but that game's intense. But yeah, we'll talk about that one. But the next thing I have on my list, Silent Hill. Now, I remember
a game I've never played. I wished I had.
I think, well, if you have a PS3, you can purchase pretty cheaply old PS1 games, and I believe Silent Hill is available.
Okay.
Now,
if you've got a good sound system, I kind of recommend it, and I also kind of don't. Because this game was designed to mess with you, the player. Not the character in the game, you. And I remember playing the demo thinking, wow, this is really cool. And it was similar to Resident Evil on the control, except for they actually had, moving backgrounds. You were moving around. But this game liked to throw sounds around. And if you have a good enough, and especially now, if you had like a full surround sound setup with 4 speakers, I'm sure it would really do it worse. But I remember, I would play it on my TV at home, and it wasn't, oh man, that's pretty scary. But I went over to my friend's house, and he had a good sized TV, and it had a good speaker system where, you have speakers that are capable of throwing sounds behind you. This game threw sounds behind us, and we were looking around because we were playing it in the dark down in the basement, and we're looking behind us. Oh, what was that? And you'll hear stuff like, at one point you hear this baby crying. And why is the baby crying? Where's that at? What's going on?
Yeah.
But it messed with us, and it made it super scary. And it's really mysterious because the story is a little confusing on what's going on. And if you don't, hit every little bit, you might not get the full story. You might not even get a good ending if you don't, go to certain things or find certain items to help you kind of piece together what's going on in this town. But oh my goodness, was that game was, woo, that messed with me.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard nothing but amazing stuff.
Yes,
it's freaky, mind bending kind of game.
Oh yes, and they haven't quite gotten the feel of that one. Now, a lot of people's favorite Silent Hill game is Silent Hill 2, which when I was streaming things on, I need to bring my streaming service back on my PS4, but I was able to play where they'd collected Silent Hill 2 and 3. I guess they'd remade them for and adapted over the PS3, which so you can play it on a PS4 and streaming. But on that version, apparently they'd lost the original code of Silent Hill 2, and so they had to kind of rebuild it from what I've heard. And some people say it's not quite as good as the old PS2 version. So, but I don't know. But that's the version I played, and I thought it was good. But what's weird is like Silent Hill gives you a reason that the town is messed up like this, and then Silent Hill 2 does not play into that original story at all. It's a whole different story, and it doesn't seem to play into what's actually going on in the town. It's this whole different reason for things going on in the town, and it has to do with your main character trying to punish himself for something, which I'm not going to get into because I don't want to spoil, because I don't, you should play it. It is a good game, but this is also the one that gave us the character Pyramid Head.
Okay.
Which terrified a lot of people. Yes, he's a big giant guy with a huge butcher knife and a weird pyramid thing for a head. So that he became an iconic character in Silent Hill ever since that one. And I haven't played Silent Hill 3 yet, but I've heard that does pick up from the original story beats given in the first Silent Hill. And you're playing as the daughter of the main character in the first game, which, like I said, I haven't played that one yet, but I'll have to do it sometime. All right, but let's move on to something. Well, okay, we've already kind of mentioned Doom 3, that I thought it was a lot scarier. That's probably my favorite in the series, and you played Quake games at the time. But so moving on through there to, if you haven't played this one, you've missed out. Resident Evil 4. And you didn't play that one, huh?
No.
This started, of all things, as a Nintendo, the nice squeaky clean company. This was a GameCube exclusive for a while.
Oh, wow.
And
I was a children's pastor at the time, so I wasn't playing anything like that, I guess, at the time.
This is the first time in Resident Evil we got an over the shoulder view. We're playing as Leon, and we actually got to move around through an environment. And it's the first time we weren't fighting with zombies. We had a whole other different kind of enemy that they were intelligent. They could set traps. They'd have bear traps set up. They'd have dynamite set on tripwires. They were smart, and they could talk. And if you knew Spanish, I guess you'd understand some stuff, because you're in Spain trying to rescue the president's daughter. And Leon is now a special agent and has no idea the horror he's walking into. But who better, because he's already been through a zombie apocalypse in a town. He can deal with some nasty monsters. He knows what he's doing now. But he's not expecting. He's figuring, okay, some people kidnapped the president's daughter. All right, we're going to have to go and just infiltrate this. And it even starts out with a little nod to Evil Dead of going into this one cabin in the woods at the beginning. But then after that, you wander into a village, and it's the first time that you're not backtracking a whole lot, going back and forth through stuff like because you're in one location. You actually are continuing forward into the next area, and it's creepy and scary, but it relied a little bit more on action. Which, unfortunately, because Resident Evil 4 was one of the biggest sellers they'd had, they thought action is what everybody wanted. And they went kind of off the rails a little bit. Now, what's funny,
at one point you kind of go into this big manor castle, and there's this relies around a kind of a cult where the leader of this cult has been infecting people with this thing called Las Plagas, which they kind of unearthed while mining stuff down below, where it's like these weird creatures that you could use to infect people with, and it's like a parasite, and it turns people into nasty things. But you're powerful. But these monk people are wandering around the castle, and they're chanting, and the music in the background is just, whoa. My wife can't stand the sound of it. It is disturbing. And I've even got they had a CD they put out 10 years of Resident Evil, and they had music from all of it, and it had that music bit of the whoa, and that played on there when we were listening in the car, and my wife's like, nope, skip it. Nope, can't do it.
Yeah.
So, but that still might be my favorite game of the Resident Evil series, although the remake of Resident Evil 2 is a tough contender on that, I gotta say, because because it did go back over the shoulder on that one. But yeah, so RE5, I remember renting it, playing it, didn't really like it because they were trying to go more action, and it's less scary. But it does continue off of Resident Evil 4 with how the monsters are being made with Las Plagas, and you kind of get into, turns out there was a plant they made the progenitor virus that started the entire thing in Resident Evil. This progenitor virus where they made the T virus and the G virus, and Las Plagas apparently is related to this as well. So it was kind of neat how I put it together. Then they had Resident Evil 6. I played a demo, didn't like it. I do own a copy of the game digitally now because I got it as a bundle with 4, 5, and 6. So I am going to play 6 at some point just because I figure I should. But because it does kind of stem up to where we get up to 7 eventually. But before we talk about 7, because I've been trying to rush through things so we can get to where I know something you've played. Alone in the Dark, although you played the original Alone in the Dark, but I guess you never played the New Nightmare, which is the first Alone in the Dark game I ever played.
No, I never did.
Oh, my goodness. Because this was my first time I got introduced to Edward Carnby. Now, Alone in the Dark, the original one, I guess was set in like the 30s. It had kind of a retro look.
Yeah, it was very pixely and very old school. And yeah. I just remember every time you died, you got thrown off a cliff. And you were about 3 pixels falling down into the water. Yeah.
Well, this one, if you died kind of horribly by these weird monsters, but this had a really great story once you got into it of this island where this Native American tribe had been keeping these dark forces from coming in from another dimension. But you also had these crazy mad people that built the manor house there, this family that they were brilliant, but they kept trying to find a way to unlock it. And you had this one like shaman who was there trying to keep them from achieving their goals. But it's like, okay, if they open up this portal to this other dimension, I'm going to be the one that keeps everything back. But Edward Carnby shows up, and you also get a female character that you can switch and choose which one you play, like Resident Evil 2. And each one has a different path through the manor house and a different story they follow, because each one of them has different goals before they finally come together at the end. But this is another game that messed with you, the player, with jump scares. So you might be walking along, and all of a sudden the screen would flash all these monsters up on screen, but then there'd be nothing, but they'd hear this, whoa, but a big loud noise, a lightning flash, something. It would flash things at you. Suddenly something would be there, and then just kidding. And it messed with my head. Now here's the thing, how this one messed with my head. So you know that part of asleep where you're not quite asleep, but you're not awake, you're just kind of halfway there, and your brain starts looking at things and you can't know what's real anymore.
Yeah.
Well, okay, my poor wife. I think we hadn't been even married all that long, I think, when I was playing this, and she had sat with me watching it. She was getting into the story of it too. But I'm there lying in bed, and I'm at that halfway point, and some monster from her side of the bed jumped up over and was coming on the bed, and I leaned up ready to fight, and I was like, ah! And woke her up, scared her after death, and I was just sitting there, my heart was racing because I swore this thing was coming over the bed after us.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest reaction I think a game has ever gotten out of me.
Yeah.
And I still own a copy of this game, but I haven't really played through the whole thing since, because like that game will mess with your head.
Yeah. That's why they have ratings, man. That blows my mind that people let kids play these things sometimes.
Right.
Because if it does that to an adult, imagine what it's doing to the mind of a poor child.
Yikes. Yeah. All right. So next thing on the list, finally we're getting some stuff that you've gotten to play. So Resident Evil 7.
And this is, boy, they reinvented it. And, like you were saying, going back to first-person shooter mode and giving us new characters, a whole new type of way to have monsters.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. And did you play the demo of this?
No. I bought it on a Steam sale, and I just dove right in head first into the creepiest family I'd ever visited with.
Welcome to the Baker house. What's cool about the demo is it was a separate story.
Okay.
And you didn't have really a lot of there. I mean, there are some enemy encounters, but it was a mystery and a riddle and a puzzle. But you have to get everything to work out just right. But you have to put together the mannequin hand and point at areas where it's telling you various murders have happened as you walk through, not the main house, but the side house, like the guest house. Mm-hmm. You're just wandering in there and trying to solve some puzzle. Although at one point you kind of see Jack Baker walk by and disappear. But it's you're playing as a different character. The only thing that carries over into the main game is there's videotape you watch that is the people who make like the kind of reality show where they're supposed to be visiting supposedly haunted houses. You get to play through that little videotape at one point. Where this is also the first time I played a Resident Evil that had that many F-bombs, which, if you have your button available, I love your F-bomb tone, by the way.
Oh, hold on. It is right here.
That is hilarious. I love it. But so that's the first time they really had a lot of language in that game. But so you'd play through just the house and had this mysterious story. And the weird thing is they snuck stuff in, and it doesn't always happen. You might look at a certain thing and there'll be a flash of a ghost girl, just poof, and gone. So the demo was disturbing, and it's so much to where I still have the demo because it was scary. And I thought, well, maybe we're actually dealing with something supernatural in the next game. But of course, then you get into the game and you realize it's not so much supernatural ghosts. It's somebody who can get in your head.
Right.
And I don't want to tell you everything because if you've only gotten up to the boat, you got a flashback adventure to play with Mia to learn out who Mia really is.
Yeah. I haven't figured that out yet.
Now, what choice did you make at the dock? Who did you save, Mia or Chloe?
Oh, see, I put it down for a while and I don't remember.
Oh, because if you pick one, you get a bad ending. If you pick the other, you get a good ending.
Okay.
But I won't tell you which.
Okay.
But RE7 was great because that's where you had the stalker mechanic where they first realized how good they can make it. Is Jack Baker is just stalking you all over the place.
Yeah.
In that first bit.
Yeah.
And then you got to hide from his wife.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's scary. And that's why I put it down because I'm on the boat and these fungus monsters keep coming after me and I don't have any guns or no ammo. I can't fight them all. And I can't figure out how to get past them. I've even cheated and watched playthroughs and all kinds of stuff. And I've used up all my resources and I think I'm just at an impasse where I can't get through. So
yeah, that's the mark of survival horror is inventory management, trying to make sure you have enough bullets. And can I sneak through there without having to kill this thing? Or can I come up with a creative way to kill it? Can I knock it? Some people have gotten good at kneecapping a lot of monsters and knifing them and saving bullets. Like in RE4, you could really do that. You could kneecap something and then come up with your knife and slash and finish it off. And I think you can do it in RE7. But yeah, I mean, you get panicked in RE7 when you're playing on a console and you miss a lot of shots.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up losing bullets.
Yeah.
Yes, that they brought back everything that made Resident Evil scary in that game.
Yeah.
But then you get some fun, but I guess you haven't gotten to it. I don't know how much you've seen in some playthroughs if you've played through and seen everything. There's a salt mine that was really a lot of fun because there's usually a point in a Resident Evil game, and I think it was inspired by Evil Dead 2, when Evil Dead 2, when Ash finally gets his chainsaw arm and his gun, and he twirls that gun around, and he's like, that's it, I'm tired of this stuff, I'm fighting back. You have a moment in Resident Evil typically where you got that point where it's like you feel like you've got enough weaponry and it's time to kick some zombie butt. And really, when you get into the salt mine, that's about the point where you get to that point in Resident Evil 7 where you feel like, okay, it's giving me enough ammo. It's time for me to take this thing down. I'm bringing the fight back to you. You're no longer hunting me. I'm hunting you. So, but yeah, then you get to the final thing because there involves this little girl, little Eve, which is creepy in itself. But I won't tell you there's very disturbing revelation.
Because one day I'll make it past the creepy slime monster.
And if you need to start over, go ahead.
Oh, Oh no!
I know there's a lot to work through, but but if it gives you a chance to make, because next time through you're a little better at the game by now. Granted, you've had a gap.
Oh,
well, we should do this as a stream sometime, and I will coach you. I will have your back, man. I will have your back. We should do this.
Because I think I've put it down for too long, and it would be like starting over again, like for real. Oh,
I will have your back. I've played through that game at least 3 or 4 times. I've played some of the DLC. I do enjoy that one. I haven't played Village yet because I'm waiting until I get a PS5 because I want to experience this the way it was meant to be experienced.
Right.
So I'm waiting on that one. But 7 was great, and it took the concept of the creepy cabin out in the woods and put it a manor in the swamp with a creepy, scary, weird family.
Yeah.
Oh goodness! And when you find out what's going on and what happened, oh man. That one was good. That was so good. Next I have on there, The Evil Within. I just recently played this on the stream, and I tried to play it on normal, but I got to one boss I was trying to kill. I couldn't beat it. I had to lower the difficulty level.
Yeah,
just so I could finish the game.
Mm-hmm. It's complex too. Is this the one where you catch the bad guy? You have to burn them to keep them from coming back?
Oh, that was the remake of Resident Evil, which I should have put on the list because they'll come back as a. Oh, what do they call them? Like your Crimson Zombie if you don't burn them. But with Evil Within, you could burn. But and I was expecting because the Resident Evil remake, if you didn't burn them, they'd come back, right?
Okay.
Now, Evil Within, you're actually burning could be a weapon. So if you knock something down and it's not dead, you could set it on fire and finish it off.
Okay.
But they would try to fight back if you'd come over to burn them, and they would take a swing at you.
Yeah.
But you could do it as a quick thing to finish something off if you can burn it. Then you could finish it. But if you did blow the head off or whatever, or if you took it down enough, it actually was dead. But I got into a habit of just burning it anyway, just to make sure that it was dead.
Right.
But yeah, you could. That's right. You'd have a book of matches and you drop a match on it.
Yeah.
But some things were dead and you just wasted a match. But sometimes they're down, but they're not really dead yet. So you go and drop the match on, and then they'll kind of kick and scream as they burn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes, that is the one. Yep, I know what you're talking about. That was one of the most confusing stories, though. I had to go through and watch a video explaining, because there's some notes I guess I didn't read that help explain everything a lot better. Plus, I haven't quite finished the DLC. I got stuck in a downloadable content where you're playing the story of Kidman, the girl.
Okay.
You play like a prequel with her to find out what her perspective was of what's really going on, because that game was weird and confusing because you kept warping to different locations. So how far did you get?
Not very far. Not very far at all. Because it's just like I kept dying, and I'm like, if this is the way the game is going to be, I probably should just downgrade the complexity a little bit.
Yeah, lower the difficulty level.
Give it another shot.
It's worth the experience. But heck, I even got stuck at the beginning of the game when you first, and I guess he's got a name of that. People call him the Sadist, but he's this big giant guy with a chainsaw. Because when you first, you get into the game and you meet Ruvik, the main villain, he knocks you out. Next thing you know, you find yourself hanging upside down, and the guy with the chainsaw is like doing stuff that you can't see to these bodies he's got hanging, and your character, you've got to escape or before you're next.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do. Because you do a lot of stealthing in this game and hiding and trying to not get noticed, especially in the first part of the game. You don't have your gun. You've lost your gun because you were captured. And I thought I needed to follow the Sadist character through this doorway. And I thought, okay, well, that's the only way I see to go through. And so like 3 or 4 times I followed him before I realized that where he was at this table where he's chopping somebody up, there's a key hanging there on this hook, and you take that key, you go back where you came from and go through the door. And then oh my gosh, it intensifies because he chases you around and he cuts a bit of your leg. And so then your character is just stumbling around, and you got these big giant blades coming from the sides, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You at least got through that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that was intense, and you can hear me on the screen play. I'm not so much screaming, but at one point you're sliding on this puddle of blood and trying to not get chopped up. And I was going, oh, but I finally did get through it. But yeah, that game was tough. And I haven't played the second one yet, but I'm looking forward to checking it out. But all right, since you haven't got to play through all that one, I don't want to say a whole lot because I don't want to spoil anything. But there we go. We've been hinting at Alien Isolation this entire hour.
I love that game, man. Loved it. I bought it on a Steam sale and it just sat in my inventory for a while. And I think I even started it and maybe I just wasn't in the right mood for it at the time, but then I played it again and I just didn't stop until I was done. It was so great.
Wow.
And yeah, I love being stalked. I love that I had to hold my breath inside you were talking about earlier about hiding in a locker and you have to hold your breath for part of it or the alien will know you're in there and grab you. And I got tired of going under. I got to where I was checking all the vents in the ceiling. Cause if you go under the wrong vent, it'll grab you. And it was great. It was a beautiful game too. Just well done. Very well done. Probably the best alien game that I've ever played.
Best alien game, bar none, clearly.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
It captured the spirit of the first movie entirely.
It looks exactly like the movie. It's great.
Whoa. And also getting around where you don't have a weapon.
Yes. No way to defend yourself.
Except for, the androids, I realized that you could, if you have once you pick up this wrench, you can smack the androids around. Because not only do you got an alien to contend with, but you've got Killer Bot 5000 running around.
Right.
It's like, great. If it wasn't bad enough, I got this xenomorph chasing me around. You guys are like turned on the humans because you're panicked. So, but because I just finished The Evil Within and I'd had to lower the difficulty level. I will confess, when I played Alien Isolation, I was like, you know what? I just want to be able to get through the entire story and I want to make sure I can finish this. Now, I've been stalked enough. I dropped that difficulty level down to get in there. But even then, it was severely difficult.
Yeah.
And there's times I couldn't figure out how I was going to escape. And you still had to hold your breath and lean back in the lockers because no eyes, no nose, no ears. It can hear you. It can smell you. It can see you. I mean, goodness sakes.
Freaky. Yeah. It's a scary game. It's good.
And it wasn't so much that it scared me. It was just the intensity because you're trying to not die because you can die so easily.
Right.
Especially because, you can hear it coming. But you don't know when you're going to wander into it. And when you hear it, but you don't see it, especially when they have it crawling around in the vents, you're like, oh man, where's it at? Where's it at? But after I watched a bit of a playthrough where a guy beat it on nightmare mode in about 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, holy cannoli. But he gave a lot of tips. And he said, when you know what you're going, there's a certain timer. The alien will be running around the vents, but it actually won't hear you when it's in the vents. It can't hear you. So you could sprint a little bit if you want to risk it. But if you go from point A to point B as quickly as you can, odds are it might not drop to actually stalk you. So you might be able to get through. So if you can power your way through it, but of course, the first time we play it, we're exploring, we're looking and reading everything on every computer. And so you kind of wander your way through. But I guess after you know where everything is and you're just like, I know where I need to go. Let me just get over there and get done the next objective. He didn't encounter the alien unless it was a scripted encounter when I was watching this. Now, of course, I stopped before he got past where I was at because I didn't want to spoil anything. And I just needed to know how to get through. I got stuck when you're in the medical center and the bomb goes off and it scares the alien away. But then you need to escape before you die of smoke inhalation or whatever. I could not see that ladder hanging up there. So it took me forever. I could not get out of that room. And so I was looking for, how do I get out of that room? So I ended up watching this guy and do that. And I was like, there's a ladder up there. So, oh goodness. But there was a few times I didn't know where to go on that. And it's not fair when you don't know where to go, but you still have to do something because you're being stalked.
Right.
Oh, but I did love the motion detector because it would point you in the right direction most of the time.
Right.
So that thing was a lifesaver. Oh my goodness. But it did definitely change the tone when I realized if I can get to my next objective quick enough, I might not have to deal with it. But once I got that flamethrower, it was like, ha.
Yeah. Yeah. Gives you a chance.
Yes. And I found myself not hiding as much.
Right.
Although that flamethrower didn't always work. I had one time I did hide under a table. And I guess once the alien gets to where it's in the animation loop of killing you, you can't burn it away.
Can't break it. Yeah.
So I did discover that while I was hiding under a table. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm not hiding anymore. I will duck down and I will try not to make noise and maybe it won't notice me. But I'm like, bring it on, sucker. I got mad. I was tired of getting killed. So I do plan on playing through it again because I want to know if there's a different ending because
It seemed kind of vague. You just Amanda Ripley ends up, spoilers, floating out in space, and you kind of see lights from maybe a ship is coming to pick her up, and then it just stops, rolls credits. And I was like, it feels like there should have been more there, but maybe that's just the ending.
Yeah, maybe so.
Oh, you're not going to say anything. You might have played it on a more difficult level than I did. I don't know.
I don't know. It sounds familiar. It's been a minute since I played. I just remember really enjoying it, and would play it again. You know.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely. Like The Evil Within has a new game plus where I get to carry over all of my upgrades because you can level yourself up and get new guns and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to play that one again with all of my upgrades and try to find a few more of the items that I didn't get, and try a harder difficulty level to unlock some more things. Alien Isolation, I think I'm going to be starting back to square one when I play it again, but at least I have a general idea, so I think I can do a little better next time.
Yeah, well, you get the mechanics down.
Yeah. Now this next one on the list, I have never played this because I didn't like the idea that all I had was a camera with night vision to be able to look at, and I've seen some clips where some guy's getting butchered and they go right for the worst possible place.
Yeah, this one you described earlier how the game within gave you sound effects of a guy chopping up somebody. Outlast chops the guy up right in front of you and hangs the bodies right in front of you. And I'm not proud of it's not my proudest game that I've ever played. You know, I'm not like proud of the fact that I played this game, but it's so good. It's so good. And it's so genuinely freaky. And you feel like you're going to die because there's so much stealth. You have no weapons. You can't see anything unless you're looking through, like you said, a video camera with night vision, and you have to find batteries to keep that alive. Oh my gosh, it was intense. It was a game I put down several times because I have to breathe. I have to go out and enjoy life, and I have to pet a kitten and things like that so that I can feel like everything's okay.
And you don't even like cats.
I don't even like cats, but I got to get some serotonin here instead of this adrenaline running through my brain. And but no, it was good. I'm playing through the second one, and it's been a 3-month playthrough because every time it's even worse. There's these redneck people that are part of a cult, and they're scary. That scares me anyway. Just cult things always, it's like scary to me because people are brainwashed and all this. And they there's all this stealth, and there's wandering AI guys walking around, and they can see you from across the yard, even in the dark, and you'll hear them. They'll be like, "Hey," and you're like, "Oh crap!" And so you go try to hide in a barrel, but they come and pull your butt out. And it's scary as mess, dude. It really is.
Yeah, I think even the Outlast 2, I think I've seen where there's a clip where something splits you right in the worst possible place.
Yeah.
Like,
everything.
I don't need to see that.
No, I wouldn't suggest it, but it's the first one was. It was just satisfying to make it through it, but there was so many scary parts. I've never been so scared playing a game. Never.
Yeah, and we're actually getting into some games here where you are unarmed here too on the next on the list.
Yeah.
And one of these I've played, one of them I'd like to play, but there is one at least. Well, no, I guess I've played 2 of these. But but I guess you couldn't. Okay, did you have more to add into Outlast before we go ahead?
No,
okay.
I'm done.
Because Five Nights at Freddy's, I played this on my phone a little bit because I can play the free version, and I think I could get through maybe 2, maybe 3 days. I just could not figure out, and a lot of it just didn't make sense to me. It's like, how come I have this limited power supply? That doesn't even make sense. There's game mechanics that just didn't translate to where I just I didn't get it. But boy, the kids really got into this. I drove a school bus for one school year, and kids would discuss their theories on what's really going on about some kid that was murdered in there, and he's possessed the Freddy or something. I don't know.
There's a lot of lore behind the game, but the game itself, I got it. I got how to play it. You know, you can close the doors to keep the animatronic guys from coming to get you, and you know, and turn on lights at certain times and watch the video cameras. But the jump scares, dude, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It scared me too bad, and I can handle like walking through a haunted house. I enjoy the creativity. I enjoy the mechanical side of it, but the guys jumping out to scare you, that's what gets me. My heart can't handle it. I just can't make it through without wanting to either start closing my eyes and grabbing my wife's back and having her walk me through the whole thing, or maybe sometimes I just want to use the chicken exit. I'm not ashamed to say it. But yeah, I Five Nights at Freddy's is a favorite, and it took the world by storm, and it's a cult classic and all that kind of stuff. But it's just something I've never played past the first day of the first game, and but there's supposed to be a first-person shooter version.
What?
Where you're in a Freddy Fazbear's game, like a Chuck E. Cheese building, and you can go around and slide down slides and get in the ball pit and all kinds of stuff. That one I might look into.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I like first-person shooters. I really do. So I don't know. I've seen the preview for it.
Nice.
It looks good.
And so you're actually armed then?
I don't know.
Oh, so it might just be first-person perspective, but not necessarily a shooter.
Right. Oh,
because I would want like an EMP gun or something. Like, robots, huh? Take that, Freddy.
Yeah.
I'll fast your bender. I don't know. I don't know if that even made sense. But,
no, I got what you meant.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so Layers of Fear. Now, I've played the first one. In fact, I played it again for the second time, actually, just last weekend. The weird thing is I've got it on my Nintendo Switch. I found out if I played it on the PlayStation, I could actually get some achievements. But this is one, apparently, the story, I didn't realize that you can get different endings depending upon different paths that you can take through this creepy house.
Huh.
But, I like how you described it. Beautiful and disturbing because, my gosh, the style and it's amazing, but it's so creepy.
So artsy. It's really good. And you slowly make your way through this storyline, and it opens very slowly, chapter by chapter, almost page by page, through what really happened in this situation with this painting and the subject of the painting and the artist that's painting it, and it's really good. Now the second one is totally different, and you're an actor, and you've been called in to perform and audition for a part of a lifetime, and you start going through these series of weird encounters and lots of mannequins and weird lighting and stuff like that. And you're asked to make choices like shooting a female mannequin or a male mannequin that are having dinner and just weird messing with your mind kind of stuff. And it's another game that I have to set it down and walk away from occasionally. I'm at a point now where there's this invisible monster that's chasing me through a building, and I can get away from him, but I can't get that door locked fast enough. And dadgummit, he comes and gets me, and I get frustrated and I rage quit. So,
that's interesting. Because like the first one, you really can't lose. I mean, I guess there's typically you could die because you do come across the ghost of the guy's wife, and she'll come and get you, but then you'll be on the ground and you wake up and you'll be somewhere else.
Right.
Apparently, and I've seen some footage where you're playing on a PlayStation, you get an achievement for the first time and it's called Embracing Death when she gets you. So I'm like, so does that mean you died at that? And it's like, is there a way to have avoided that? Or is that just I always figured it was just part of the game because it's almost like you're walking through a novel.
Right.
And it's like Edgar Allan Poe wrote this thing because it's like a dive into madness. And so you don't know. It's like, okay, how much of this is happening in the house? Is there something really wrong with his house, or is it all in his head? Is he drunk right now because he's got an alcohol problem?
Right.
And so it's this really disturbed thing that's and I haven't played all the there's a DLC that comes with the first one that's the daughter returning to the home. I don't know if I've played through all of that. I should do that sometime. But the second one sounds like you can actually lose at it.
Yeah. There's definitely there's a setting where you can just turn off the monsters and play the story. But I don't want to do it that way. I want to make it through as the game was intended to be played. So, but there's something, it's random encounters, and it's just, I think it's scripted, but it feels random to me. because it's the first time I've played through it.
Yeah.
But you just the music hypes up and the monster's making noises behind you, and he's slowly coming down, and you can't really see him because I just imagine he's so scary that your eyes can't manifest what he is, and it's just warping reality all around him, and you're trying to get through these doors, and you have to open them, and they're heavy metal doors, and you're swinging them open and getting through, and they're swinging them shut and locking them, and it slows him down so you can get through a little bit more of the map, but he always catches me, always catches up with me. So.
Goodness. That might be one that I'd want to play through without the monsters, then come back and do it with the monsters, so I have an idea of where I'm going. So I can just keep moving as best I can to see if I can get away from it.
Panic. It's just anxiety inducing. I think that's the biggest part. It maybe not scary. It's just anxiety. And I have my heart's racing, and I have to quit. I just have to walk away for a while.
Yeah.
So.
And I look for some more explanation on some of the stuff I may have missed and different endings on that. I did see something. They're supposed to have released a third one here this month, but I don't know if it's out yet. I don't know. But I did see something about a third one that is expected release was October 2021. So if y'all are into Layers of Fear, and you've played through these other two, get on it. Get on and play that third one. Send me an email. Tell me what you think of the third one. But yeah, Amnesia, The Dark Descent, which apparently Amnesia's become a series of games.
Yeah.
I haven't played any of them, but I've seen some footage, and I've seen the bit where you're like, there's water on the ground and you're trying to hop and not get in the water, but this thing is stalking you. You can see it splashes of it stepping in the water.
Yes.
Ooh.
It's scary. It's scary. It's a lot like Alien Isolation. You're a lot of hiding. You have no weapons. There are random creatures walking around, and you're hiding in cabinets and in barrels and things like that, trying to get away. And I've got the second one on my wish list, waiting for a Steam sale to take it down a notch. But yeah, it's a good one. It's puzzle game. You have to find keys and unlock doors, and you don't get access to the entire place, but at first. But it's good. It's really good. I'd really suggest it to people.
Yeah, I'm definitely have to try it sometime. That and I should have listed. I've only played through the demo of this, and it's an old game series. I guess they've made at least 3, but there's a game called Fear.
Yeah,
that we should have probably mentioned that, because I remember the demo that I used to play. I played it on PC, and I felt like it was easier to aim with a mouse. So if I ever play it, I want to play it on a PC. But that game messed with your head, and you got the creepy little girl like you get in Resident Evil 7 that's like screwing with your head and.
Yeah. I've never played it. I own the game and never have played it.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, well, maybe next year we'll talk about that one.
Yeah.
But it's a scary game when you name it Fear.
Yeah.
We will scare you and inspire fear. So that's my evil voice. You're welcome.
It's very scary.
So the next one, Soma. I don't even know what this is.
Oh man, yeah. You need to give it itself a shot. It's an underwater game. Okay, you're underwater, first person, and it's not super scary, but there is a random encounter monster with all these eyes and light shoots out of him, and if he gets too close to you, you die. And it took me a while to get through it because I couldn't figure out how to get past him, and I talked to somebody, and they told me. And I loved it. It was great. You're a person that has been uploaded into a robot, and you wake up in this chaos riddled area that's all underwater, and you're trying to get yourself onto an ark that is leaving the planet so that you can live. But you have to get uploaded, to it. And it's really good. It's a really good. It's an independent, game. But it has a following, and it's really good.
It sounds like it's a slightly scarier version of Subnautica, which I own, but I haven't played yet.
Yeah, just no crafting or not a lot of exploration. It's pretty linear, but I don't mind linear. I like it.
Yeah,
I like knowing where to go next.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about linear is I like a story.
Yeah,
and, exactly. So it's games are like movies now, except for I get to be the main character, and I love that.
And there's not a lot of story, I would say, to it from what I remember, but there is there's a character that you interact with that helps you through it. and they have your best interest in mind, and but it's got a good twist at the end. It's got all the makings of a good game. It was a pleasant experience with just enough super spooky moments that I would say it's still survival horror. So,
well, you're trying to survive and something's horrible. I'll count it.
Yeah.
So, like the next thing you ask the question, does Half-Life count? And heck yeah. I haven't played through all of Half-Life. I do own a copy, but the way I was playing it on the PC through my Steam account, I really wanted to have a controller because I was smacking things with a wrench more than I was shooting things. And I'd rather have a console instead of a mouse click. Feels weird if I'm melee fighting. I'd rather have a button. I don't know why, but it just didn't feel right. But I hooked up a controller to my PC, and apparently because of the way Half-Life is programmed, you can't do that. But I know there's a thing with the orange box. I guess the Half-Life 2 is on with Portal and everything. Yeah. You can get it on the console. But of course, I've already beaten Portal with it on my PC anyway, so I don't really need to buy it. But so I haven't played through all of it. But yeah, Half-Life, you go a while to build it up, but once everything goes downhill, it goes scary pretty quick.
Yeah, and the reason why I wanted to ask if it counted, because I wasn't scared playing it, but my buddy that I mentioned that got Resident Evil, he was the kind of guy that everything scared him, and he got Resident Evil because he knew he wouldn't be able to play it, and he got Half-Life, and I went over to his house and I watched him play, and those head crabs would jump on him, and he got up and threw his headphones on the ground and walked out of the room. He was so scared. And I just enjoy, like I said, it never freaked me out, but I loved watching him play these, 20 years before Twitch streaming was a thing.
Right.
I was watching this guy play a game because it was so entertaining because he got so freaked out.
Yeah. And I can understand because it is creepy. Those crabs things, they're like face huggers, man. They just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's horrible. It's almost like weird zombies and stuff. And yeah, it's got a creepy environment. It's kind of like BioShock is kind of got a scary environment, though it's not necessarily a horror game. It's got that first one's got some scary stuff. And even the beginning of the game, when you get in there and you have one of the splicers with the hooks that's trying to get into your capsule where you're at. And even before that, you see her like rip into a guy and like, ugh.
Yeah, if you don't like scary games, you're not going to like BioShock, even though we wouldn't classify it as survival horror.
Yeah,
it's still a spooky game.
Yeah, and the villains that you kill are really disturbing, especially the plastic surgeon guy. Oh
yeah,
that guy was disturbing as heck. Oh.
Very satisfying to destroy.
Yes, yeah, you're basically, and that's one of the things that was kind of cool with BioShock 2 is you have villains that maybe they were doing bad things, but they weren't as bad as the first one, and you were given a choice on some of them. Do you want to kill or show mercy to this boss? Mm-hmm. And that was, I love the moral choices you have in BioShock.
Yeah,
I love that because that makes like, and you can get rewarded for your choices that you make in a game. I really love that. By different story aspects and. I'm such a goody-goody, I can never make bad choices to get bad endings. I just can't do it. I can't do it. There was something else I was thinking that we should have stuck on here. And I only have played a demo, but I've heard people talk about it. And it's where I think you're playing I think it's called Condemned. There's a series of them, but you're playing as like a police detective and you're trying to track down like this mystery of this serial killer, but they have a lot of disturbing, scary moments apparently in that one as well. Especially with mannequins that seem to have moved by themselves.
Oh,
so I've only played a little bit of demo, but I've seen some footage of it. But that's become an older game. That is a couple generations. That is PS3, Xbox 360 era.
Yeah, it's 2005 according to the internet. Condemned Criminal Origins.
Yes, indeed. And I think they made like 3 of them. And the Xbox 360
came out.
Oh yeah. And the thing is with the Xbox 360 is. It's almost a brick now. It's got no online feature whatsoever. You don't even get to sign in anymore. So my 360 is sitting there waiting for me to upgrade that thing so I can still play my old Xbox games.
There you go. Yeah,
I had that one before. I had my PS2 and PS3 and stuff. Of course, I don't have a PS2 anymore, but I'm still playing on a PS4 and a Switch. Yeah. But I like earning an achievement. It makes me feel good. I don't go purposely after getting an achievement to get a platinum, but I like when I get it, and especially in a horror game. An Alien Isolation, getting an achievement means I have completed another chapter.
Right.
And you need that little pat on the back and say, you made it. You got through another one and you're not dead yet. So achievements make me feel good in a horror game because I feel like, I have accomplished something. Even though sometimes you get an achievement like Resident Evil 4, if you shoot the water and you get eaten by the big salamander monster thing, you get the achievement of don't disturb the waters. So, which I did that on purpose on the PS4 when because I've beaten it so many times on the GameCube to where I've got the infinite rocket launcher. So now I could just play it on the GameCube for giggles because nothing can stand up to me. But, going back on the PS4, oh, look, a brand new copy. I got to start from square one. And it makes it a lot tougher because now I've just got a pistol. So it's suddenly Resident Evil 4 became scary again.
There you go.
So, yeah, they're always worth a replay and always worth a few fresh nightmares. And, of course, no, we didn't cover every single potential survival horror game. We just kind of covered most of what we've played. There's probably a few things we played that we didn't think of.
Well, yeah, I mean, like the Slender Man game.
I played that
one. There's a lot of indie games. There's one called Wick, where there's these scary kids and you have a candle and you're walking through the woods and a field and they kind of flash in front of you, kind of jump scary kind of stuff. But these are, this is a good sampling as far as AAA titles and some AA. So.
And there are some that I still want to play like that. Phantasmagoria or something. You're supposed to be ghost hunters or whatever, and you're trying to investigate a ghost. It's an online game. I've seen it on Steam. I haven't purchased it yet. Yeah. So I think it's on my watch list, but I want to play with that one. But what I would like is a modified version of that, because what I think would be fun, because I like the idea of going into a house and, okay, we know it's haunted. We just got to find the ghost, identify what type it is. If you had Ghostbuster style equipment, that would be a great Ghostbuster style game, because apparently your team is going in to identify the ghost, know exactly what it is, and then you come back out and another team is supposed to come in later and eliminate the spirit or whatever. But it's like if you kind of just tooled that into a Ghostbusters, where first we had to figure out what we're dealing with, kind of like the old real Ghostbusters cartoon. They had to kind of figure out what they were dealing with so they knew how to capture it.
Right.
If they get some license, the people who made that game get some license and make that as a Ghostbuster style game, I'm going to be all over it like grease on a chicken wing or something. I think I just invented a term. I don't know.
There you go. Grease on a chicken wing. I like it.
But I would be so, because I'm already kind of into it. I want to play it because it looks very cool and scary. And there's a lot of indie games I've seen some footage of that man, that looks kind of cool. So yeah, we've definitely not put a definitive list, but we definitely played some. If you haven't played these and you like this kind of thing and you're looking for something fun to do around, this month, whether you celebrate this holiday or not, or you try to ignore it, make it go away, these are still fun games.
Yeah. Yeah. I found a couple that I'm going to go. I've been inspired to try some Resident Evil 2. So,
oh yes, that remake is good.
It's on sale right now on Steam.
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. And especially if they have some of the downloadable stuff where you can just unlock everything. That's kind of fun too.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Especially as I like that you can unlock the original music from the original game. I haven't played through the game with the original music stuck back in it yet, but I like that they included it. But it's having like not really music, but like an environmental feel to the area in the remake kind of works. And it's kind of nice also to have things quiet, because you need to be able to hear that Mr. X stomping around the place. You kind of know where he is so you can avoid him at any cost, because you're not going to win that fight. I mean, well, you can knock him down, and I don't know if you get any bonuses for him. I never really knocked him down with anything, because you're low on ammo as it is. Right. So I save my ammo. I'm like, okay, he can't really run, so I can probably get away and get a few rooms away, and he might not figure out where I went. So you kind of just do that. Plus, I kind of figured out he hangs around in the library. So if I kind of can avoid that area until I absolutely have to go to the library, just don't go over there, because for some reason he is always there.
Okay. So, I will keep that in mind.
Oh, yes, because that's part of the fun, but it'll make it just either just as or if not more intense than Alien Isolation, because you're being stalked by something that's got an AI attached to it that knows how to find you. If you go running around the place, it's going to hear you running, and he's coming. Plus, if they even set up where the lickers now, because they don't have eyes, but they can hear, you can actually sneak past lickers. But if you shoot something, it's coming, and they made them harder to deal with than they were in the original game. So some things to keep in mind. But yeah, if you ever want to play through Resident Evil 7, you want to start from the beginning, I say we live stream it, and I will be on there and try to guide you as best I can, and we'll make it fun.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thanks for having me on, man.
Well, thanks for coming on. Even when we didn't do anything funny. So
No, it's okay.
Yep.
It's the many sides of James.
The many sides of James. The part of James that James don't talk about at parties.
Yes.
Especially not at church.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of a joke, that if you have a Christian and you bring him fishing with you, if you have one Christian, you don't want to do that because he'll drink all your beer. But if you have two Christians, they won't drink any. So
that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that kind of varies by denomination, I think, too.
It does. It does. It does.
Yeah. Some of us have wine at communion. Some of us have grape juice.
Yeah. And some of us can call ourselves saved and still play scary games. And some of us can't,
Right.
It's all according to what you can handle. And,
it's all part of that grace word. And there was even, Paul even says that while everything is allowable, not everything is profitable.
Right.
So this is allowable, and I'm not doing anything bad, really.
No, I'm saving the world from bad guys. That's right. What I'm doing.
I am saving the world from zombies, and sometimes worse.
Killing bad guys. That's what I tell my wife. I'll be in the basement killing bad guys, saving the world. Yeah, no big deal.
When my wife comes in on me when I'm playing a game, she's like, "Are you vanquishing evil in here?"
Yes, I am.
Indeed. But anyways, quick reminder, everybody go. It used to be called Nobody's Listening, so the website is nlcast.com. Have you ever made one that's that story show?
Yeah, thatstoryShow.com.
Okay, awesome. But go check out, if we've disturbed you, go check out that story show and hear some much less disturbing stories, except for sometimes people send in stories of injuries, which I find disturbing. I don't think injuries are not funny. I watch AFV and when I watch somebody fall down and get hurt there, I'm like, okay, well, you hurt yourself a little bit, but you didn't injure yourself. So I can still laugh with you that, okay, you smacked your head. Ha, 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 we'll laugh at you. But if you got hurt, I can't laugh at you. I'm sorry, because I feel bad for you. I can't help it.
Well, we go for things that get a reaction. And in injury stories, if somebody sends them in, and that's what we're all about is submitted stories. We put your funny life stories in the spotlight. And some kid sends in a story about the time he got 10 stitches. It's a rough read. But we get to relive what they went through, you know, and it's fun.
And it's usually how they got hurt. It's an interesting story.
Yeah.
It's like, because usually it's like, oh my gosh, what were you thinking? Like there was one kid, I think, playing baseball and had a machete or something for some reason.
Had a machete strapped to his leg and went swinging his arm and cut off part of his hand because he's thinking wearing a machete randomly in the country because he's a country kid. And that's what they do.
Yep.
So, baseball and machetes don't mix.
Right.
There's a lot of things in machetes that don't. Cooking, bathing. I don't know, driving, playing with machetes and machetes don't mix. So,
yes, don't play with machetes, period.
There you go. Just stay away from machetes. Yeah.
They're good for jungle movies. If you're going to go out exploring in the jungle,
And if you're Jason, if you drowned because some teenagers were messing around and they weren't watching you, go get you a machete. But short of that, leave them alone.
There you go. And with that, I would like to remind you, of course, to visit our website at neverlandpodcast.com. There you can find out how to join the Neverlanders. Just come up with a good nickname is all it takes. You can become either Lost Boy or Pixie. We would like to thank Karen Kennedy, Ricky Pope of Christian Nerds Unite, and Darren Wilhite of the Wilhite and Wall Show for helping us out with our intro. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Neverland PCast, on Facebook, of course, at Neverland Podcast. We also do have a Facebook group, of course, Neverland Podcast. Again, just look under groups. You can leave us a voicemail, 816-226-6492. You can donate to our Patreon, and please do. That helps keeps the show going. Patreon.com/Neverland Podcast. Also, on our website, at the front page, you can find out about My Podcast Reviews. Just click there on the logo, My Podcast Reviews. For a very reasonable fee, you can get your reviews if you happen to have a podcast from around the world and sources that you normally don't get to see, and brought to you really easily to your email. But until next time, get lost in an adventure.
This morning in North Carolina, wheels are spinning. Determination is winning. A passion is now a thriving business, and it shows no signs of slowing down. How? The power of a conversation, like the one Clint Spiegel had with First Horizon Bank about starting a bike wheel manufacturing facility in Asheville. Now it's not just talk, it's rubber meets road. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Clint. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.